Chapter 638. Forget it, everyone disperse. The 10th layer martial master waved his hand and said, "That's right, let's go our separate ways." The devil master of the 10th layer also said loudly. When the rest of the people who came out heard the words of the two of them, they didn't say much and dispersed one after another. Some of them had already been in the Sand Valley for more than a year. At this moment, they naturally had to quickly contact their families or sections. However, no one tried to activate their martial skills again. They all left with tacit understanding. Perhaps everyone knew that if they were to fight, it would turn into a chaotic battle. Perhaps no one would be able to benefit from it. As for the two 10th layer martial masters, they clearly understood this logic. Therefore, they called out to everyone and persuaded everyone to leave first. At this moment, Xiaochen had already returned. He began to madly rush in the direction of the cylindrical ice crystal. Firstly, it was to escape from the people outside. Secondly, it was to retrieve the treasures. He believed that after these people left, the news that the Sand Valley was a lie would definitely spread. At that time, no one would come again. However, there were still some people left in the Sand Valley who had not succeeded in comprehending the Tao. Xiaochen couldn't care less. Even if Xiaochen told them that this place was fake, they might not believe him. They would definitely think that Xiaochen was selfish. He had succeeded in comprehending the Tao, but he didn't want others to succeed as well. Therefore, rather than causing trouble, it was better to let nature take its course. However, it was a pity for his companions from before. After returning to the cylindrical ice crystal, Xiaochen discovered that the Sand Valley Plaza, which was originally the pinnacle of life, had become empty and very quiet. At this moment, Xiaochen didn't care about anything. He directly asked, "Have the treasures been buried?" "Yes, they're all buried." The primordial spirit's voice sounded. "It seems that you're still keeping your word. Then I won't continue refining you. Although, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure that I can successfully refine you. I'm almost 90% sure," Xiaochen said. "Don't use some trash to fool me." "I know." When the primordial spirit heard Xiaochen's words, he no longer had any doubts. Otherwise, after he had compromised, he would have calmed down and thought about it. Why did Xiaochen compromise? Obviously, he could refine him into a ghost talisman devil. At that time, perhaps his things would belong to Xiaochen, and there would be no secrets at all. Wouldn't that be better than now? Moreover, Xiaochen had the help of the ghost talisman devil. But now that Xiaochen said this, he understood that Xiaochen was not 100% sure. This was reasonable, but even if it was only 90%, he did not dare to provoke Xiaochen. He was afraid that Xiaochen would directly fight him to the death. Xiaochen came to the place where he had dug up the treasure and dug out another chest. Opening it, he saw 4 pieces of spirit jades neatly stacked inside. Adding the 2 pieces from before, there were 6 pieces in total. This made Xiaochen very happy. This was a good thing, and Xiaochen needed it. He did not expect the primordial spirit to really not lie to him. "How is it? Not bad, right?" The primordial spirit said proudly. "So little." Xiaochen appeared disappointed, but he was overjoyed in his heart. "Little? Bullshit. This is my savings for many years." Some people use spirit jades as spirit stones to activate the teleportation formation. But this kind of people are not common. I only collected these, and I gave them all to you. I have no use for it," the primordial spirit said angrily. "I didn't know that you only had 90% confidence in refining me, so I can't lie to you." "Then, you didn't have any stock before?" Xiaochen could not help but ask. "The previous stock is arranged in this Sand Valley. Where is it?" The primordial spirit said helplessly. "I didn't expect that because of you, all my previous efforts would be wasted. I guess no one will come here in the future." "That's not my problem. You continue to stay here and play by yourself. I'm leaving, bye-bye." Xiaochen put away the spirit jades, then jumped and ran outside. Xiaochen did not think that there would be anyone waiting outside, because no one knew that he would return, so there was no point in waiting outside. Sure enough, as Xiaochen guessed, when he went out, there was no one outside. Xiaochen breathed a sigh of relief and walked forward. He did not stay in the vicinity, but returned to the ruins of the Paoli clan's cultivation city. Although the energy stones were in his hands, the purpose of Xiao Chen's trip was to find the extraterrestrial ink meteorite, not only to find it for Xia Zhili, but also for Xiao Chen himself. This heavenly treasure can help a martial master level expert to break through to the general level. Then can I also use it to break through to the gold core stage? Xiao Chen already knew that after the foundation establishment stage was the gold core stage, which was equivalent to the general level of martial cultivators and devil cultivators. Of course, it was only on paper, but in a real fight, a general of the same level was absolutely not a match for a cultivator. Looking at the 4 words Bubbly Clan written on the castle, Xiao Chen hesitated as to whether or not he should enter. After all, the map in his hand stopped here. There was no detailed map inside. If he wanted to enter, he would have to rely on himself. Friend, are you planning to go to the ruins of the Paoli clan? At this time, a voice sounded from afar. Xiao Chen saw a person rushing over. The reason why it was said to be rushing was because this person was driving a convertible. Xiao Chen was a little puzzled. How did this person drive in? Is there another way to enter the Hakanamada desert? He paid a high price to come in, but this person did not let him drive. Could it be that this person spent more money? Yes, you are? Xiao Chen was already standing next to the ruins. If he said no, he would be lying, so he might as well admit it. I'm also here to explore, the person said. Let me introduce myself, I'm Tagan Shanxiong. Oh, hello. Xiao Chen nodded, waiting for him to continue. You're here for the spirit stones? Tagan Shanxiong asked, his eyes turning. Yes. Xiao Chen nodded again. Did you get it? Tagan Shanxiong asked. Not yet. Xiao Chen shook his head. Then we can go together, the person said. You're a martial master, right? Entering the ruins requires the cooperation of a few people. You can't go in alone. But if you're willing, we can work together. Oh, what's in it for me? Xiao Chen felt that this person was too enthusiastic, but thinking of Maoguang before, he didn't suspect much. He just asked, if we find the spirit stones in the ruins, how about we give them to you first? The person said, of course, but the other things will belong to us. Oh, do you know that there must be spirit stones in there? Xiao Chen didn't argue with him. His purpose here was the outer sky ink meteorite, but he couldn't tell anyone. That's not necessarily true, but if there isn't as a reward, each of us will give you some spirit stones and help you get 10. How about that? The person looked very generous. Forgive me for being blunt, but what are you looking for in the ruins? Xiao Chen asked without batting an eyelid. Oh, we're here to verify something, not to find anything, the person said with a smile. The introduction just now may not have been comprehensive, but let me say it again. I'm from the Wuling Archaeology team. You can call me Captain Tagan. We're a group of martial masters with the same hobby of archaeology. We formed an archaeology team and traveled through all kinds of mountain ruins. Wuling Archaeology Team? Xiao Chen was a little confused after hearing this. There was such an organization? These people were all martial masters, but they still went to archaeology. It was the first time he heard of this. Subconsciously, Xiao Chen felt that this person wasn't very reliable. But since this person said so, he didn't ask anymore. He just said, okay, if that's the case, then it's fine for me to join. But what if we find other valuable things? According to the rules, of course we'll split it equally. Tagan Shanxiong smiled and said, other than giving you spirit stones first, we'll split the other things equally. If it's more valuable than spirit stones, then we can give you some. That's fair. Xiao Chen nodded. If that's the case, when do we act? Of course, even if our team is temporary, it's very fair, Tagan Shanxiong said. Tagan Shanxiong said, wait a minute, there are still 4 people. When they arrive, the 6 of us will move together. Okay, do you have a map of the ruins? The reason why Xiao Chen agreed to form a team with them was because he didn't have a map of the ruins. If he went in, it was very likely that he would get lost. With these people, it would be better. Yes, but it's only a rough map. It's not very complete, Tagan Shanxiong said. Since my teammates haven't come, you can take a look. As he said this, Tagan Shanxiong took out a map and handed it to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen took it and looked at it. However, the map was really simple. It only had the approximate route and position of the Bubbly clan's cultivation city. It didn't have the exact location. However, Xiaochen quickly memorized it. Maybe it would be of great use. Thank you, this map is very rough. I don't understand it. Xiaochen returned the map to Tagan Shanxiong and said with a smile. Yes, this map is just a reference. We need to use past experience to accurately judge some things. Tagan Shanxiong smiled and said, when the time comes, you will know how wise your choice was. Otherwise, if you go in yourself, you might not be able to find anything. After all, this ruins has been visited many times. It's hard to say what good things are left. Yes, I think so too. Xiaochen nodded. Not long after, 2 more cars arrived and 4 people got out. Tagan Shanxiong stepped forward and greeted them one by one. Then he said, this is a trial challenger that wants to form a team with us. He wants to go to the ruins to look for spirit stones. Friend, introduce yourself. Chapter 639. I am Xiaochen, a martial master-level demonic cultivator. I am here on a spirit stone mission. I am very happy to be able to travel with you. I hope you can take care of me. Xiaochen cupped his fists and said, well said, well said. The others smiled and said, the 4 of us are Captain Tagan's team members. My name is Zhang Zhongyuan, nicknamed Baldy. Friends can call me Brother Baldy. A bald team member said, my name is Jiang Yushui, nicknamed Skinny Jiang. Another team member with a slender body said, just call me Xiaocheng. This was a man with a gloomy face. He did not look like someone easy to get along with. My name is Xueqian. This was a woman wearing a veil. Xiaochen could not see her real face, but she gave him a familiar feeling, as if he had seen her somewhere before. Xiaochen nodded and greeted them one by one. Then he said, excuse me, do you often explore together? No, we are all archaeology enthusiasts. When there is a mission, we will gather together. Normally we don't get together. We meet about once a year. Baldy waved his hand and said, we all have our own specialties. Yes. I am in charge of finding the ruins and estimating the value of the ruins. Then, we will contact each other on the internet and gather together. The one called Tagan Shanxiong said, we all come from different sects or families. We will not deliberately ask each other's background. For this kind of exploration, the more people there are, the more fun it will be. This time, I am inviting you. If you think it is good, you can join us next time. We can form a team to explore other ruins. So that's how it is. Xiaochen nodded. No wonder the 4 of them didn't come together with Tagan and Shanxiong. It turned out that they came from different places. Yes, how about it? Are you interested? Tagan Shanxiong smiled. I will take a look first. Xiaochen did not reply immediately. For the time being, Xiaochen did not know whether this Tagan Shanxiong was a friend or a foe, whether he had good or bad intentions. At the very least, Xiaochen could not make out any intentions from this person's words. At most, these people wanted to go to the ruins to find something, but they didn't plan to share it with him. They just wanted to give him spirit stones. But this was understandable. No one would be so generous to a stranger. Good, since everyone is here, let's go. Tagan Shanxiong waved his hand and led Xiaochen and the others into the ruins of the Paoli clan. Inside the ruins, what Xiaochen saw was even more dilapidated than he had imagined. There were broken walls and ruins everywhere, and the ground was covered in yellow sand. However, from the vaguely majestic buildings, he could tell that this place must have been prosperous once. He didn't know why the Bubbly clan gave up on this place in the end. Was there an accident or something? If it wasn't for an accident, they wouldn't have left important things here when they moved. Although spirit stones were not as valuable as spirit jades, they were still very precious things. Leaving them here for people to search for, it could be seen that the Paoli clan had left in a hurry. Don't touch the things on the ground. At this time, Tagan Shanxiong reminded Xiaochen. Don't look at the ground. Sometimes you can see spirit stones, but that's an illusion created by the desert hermit scorpions. Those things are highly toxic, and whoever touches them will die. Brother Xiaocheng, you must be careful. I understand. Xiaochen smiled gratefully. Although he knew, this person's warning was still very kind. At this point, Xiaochen let down his guard a little. However, he didn't completely let it go. The few of them quickly moved forward. Tagan Shanxiong led the way, as if he was very familiar with the terrain. He didn't stop at all, nor did he look at the map. This made Xiaochen a little suspicious. At this thought, Xiaochen couldn't help but ask, "Captain Tagan, with all due respect, have you been here before?" Tagan Shanxiong was slightly stunned, but he immediately understood what Xiaochen meant. He paused and said, "Of course I've been here before. As the initiator of the mission, I have to investigate first. This is a necessary condition. Brother Xiaochang, are you suspecting that I have some ulterior motives?" "No, I'm just a little curious." Xiaochen laughed and said, "I'm alone in an unfamiliar place, so I naturally have to be careful. I hope Captain Tagan won't take offense." "Of course not." Tagan Shanxiong shook his head. Instead he praised Xiaochen, "You're right. When you're out alone, there's nothing wrong with being more cautious. When adventuring in a remnant, the most important thing is to be cautious. You can't be reckless. Otherwise you might lose your life if you're not careful." These words made Xiaochen feel that Tagan Shanxiong was open and aboveboard. However, Xiaochen was also puzzled. Why was this group of strangers so good to him? Did they just want him to join their exploration team? But why did they trust a person they met so much? Were they not suspicious of his origins? They didn't even ask a single question? Or was it really as Tagan Shanxiong said, that they didn't even ask about each other's origins? Fortunately, Tagan Shanxiong did not have time to talk to Xiaochen. After praising him, he continued to hurry forward. Xiaochen also saw that other than himself, the others seemed to trust Tagan Shanxiong very much. They did not feel that there was anything wrong with rushing. Of course, Xiaochen had a good impression of Tagan Shanxiong, but it did not mean that he was not on guard at all. However, Xiaochen did not think that Tagan Shanxiong would covet anything from him. Since he was willing to do the mission for spirit stones, he obviously did not have any good cultivation resources. At the very least, these people would not join forces to rob him. After passing through these ruins, Xiaochen found that the scene in front of him suddenly changed. It was no longer an endless desert, but some desert plants appeared. Looking ahead, there was even a dense forest. This made Xiaochen a little surprised. Could there be a dense forest in the desert? Soon, under Tagan Shanxiong's lead, everyone entered the dense forest, but his speed had obviously slowed down. Not only that, after walking for a while, Tagan Shanxiong took out his compass and compared it with the map. His behavior made Xiaochen breathe a sigh of relief. The previous road was easier to walk, so it was normal to walk fast. Looking at Tagan Shanxiong's behavior in the dense forest, it was obvious that this was his first time here, so he should not have any special intentions. After walking for a few more hours, Tagan Shanxiong stopped and said, "The place we're at now is a secret treasure trove of the Paoli clan. Not many people know about this place. Moreover, the treasures are scattered, so not all of them have been taken away." When Xiaochen saw Tagan Shanxiong looking at him, he nodded and said, "Do you need me to do anything?" "Yes, Xiaochang. I see that you are a demonic cultivator. This time, we need your help to break the formation of the treasure house," Tagan Shanxiong said. "Oh, what do you mean?" Xiaochen was a little inexplicable. Why did they need him again? Wasn't he just here to be bystanders? Tagan Shanxiong explained to Xiaochen. "Xiaochen, through my observation along the way, I know that you are a reliable and trustworthy person, so I will tell you the truth. The reason why I want to rope you in is because you are a demonic cultivator." "Oh," Xiaochen said curiously, "you knew that I was a demonic cultivator?" When he heard Xiaochen's question, Tagan Shanxiong nodded and said, "Yes, I sense the aura of a demonic cultivator on you, and this mission requires the help of a demonic cultivator. The reason I didn't say it clearly before was because we didn't have any trust between us. But after arriving here, through my observation, I noticed that you aren't a rash person, and you are very kind as well. You should be a good partner." This person's words were very reasonable, but Xiaochen's heart trembled. It would be strange if this person could see that I'm a demonic cultivator. I'm not a demonic cultivator at all. I'm a true cultivator. It was possible for this person to be able to discern whether someone was a martial cultivator or a demonic cultivator. But how great was this person's ability to discern that Xiao Chun was a demonic cultivator? He hadn't revealed any strength at all, and he had only introduced himself as a demonic cultivator. Yet this person had actually taken advantage of him. But don't forget, this person had first looked for him to cooperate, and only then did he know that he was a demonic cultivator. Moreover, if Xiao Chun didn't appear here, where would he go to find a demonic cultivator? Wouldn't the five of them come? Therefore, what he said was reasonable, but in reality, it didn't make any sense. However, Xiao Chun pretended not to hear it, and instead showed the joy of being valued. He said happily, "Is that so? You still need my help." Along the way, I seem to have been leeching experience, and now there's finally a place for me to be of use. Captain Tagan, just tell me. Originally, we only planned to look for some treasures in the periphery, but the array formation in the periphery is very simple, and I'm afraid that others have already broken it. However, since Brother Xiao Chang is a demonic cultivator, we can break some of the more profound array formations now, but there might be some dangers that could lead to injuries. I wonder if Brother Xiao Chang dares to attack together? Tagan Shanxiong's words seemed to be an explanation and supplement to the previous sentence. Xiao Chen's heart trembled, but on the surface he smiled and said, "Of course, since I'm here, I naturally have to get some good things. If it's just a few spirit stones, I'd be letting myself down. By the way, I wonder if I have a share?" Although Xiao Chun had begun to suspect Tagan Shanxiong, since there were benefits, he wouldn't miss it. Wealth comes from danger. He felt that these people shouldn't be lying to him. There were indeed treasures here, and they really needed his help to open some array formation. However, the dangers brought about by the array formation might have been downplayed by Tagan Shanxiong. Xiao Chun believed that wealth and danger coexisted, and there was no such thing as reaping without sowing. Chapter 640. Otherwise, if these people wanted to trick him, they could have done it elsewhere. There was no need for them to come here. Very good. Young hero Xiao is really young and promising. Your heroic spirit reaches the clouds. Tagan Shanxiong laughed and said, "In that case, I won't hide it from you. In a while we will open the formation. The five of us will attack it. But we need a demonic cultivator to help us resist the formation's backlash." "Oh, the formation's backlash?" Xiao Chun frowned. "Do I have to resist it?" "Yes, the formation here is very strange. If there are devil cultivators here, they will simply choose the devil cultivators to suffer from the backlash. As for us, we don't need to be tired of dealing with the backlash of the formation. But you will have to work hard alone." Tagan Shanxiong said, "This formation is very well hidden. No one should have discovered it before. So if we break it, we should be the first to enter. Besides spirit stones, I can give you more of the good stuff inside." "Then will I be in danger?" Xiao Chun asked. "At this point, there definitely won't be any big danger, but there will be small dangers," Tagan Shanxiong said. "If I want to lie to you, I can completely deceive you and let you suffer the formation's backlash. But I'm telling you in advance. You can also see my sincerity. Whether you want to go or not, it's up to you." The more he acted like this, the more a normal person would believe him. However, because Xiao Chun had his suspicions before, he didn't completely believe his words. In Xiao Chun's opinion, perhaps half of what this person said was true, but it wasn't completely true. If he completely believed it, then he would really be a fool. "Then why didn't you find a demonic cultivator to help before? Why did you wait until now?" Xiao Chun asked with some doubt. Since this formation needed the help of a demonic cultivator, then what did they do before? If they couldn't find a demonic cultivator, Xiao Chun would not believe it. If they could form a team with a random person at the entrance of a cultivation ruin, then how could they not find a reliable candidate before? Was that even possible? Tagan Shanxiong smiled bitterly and said, we didn't even think about breaking that formation. We just wanted to find some formations that had been broken before, and see if there were any good things inside. We didn't even consider these unknown formations. After all, even if the formation is broken, there might still be danger in the treasury, because danger and benefits coexist. Everyone understands this logic. So you changed your mind when you saw me? Xiaochen naturally didn't believe this excuse. Of course not. Previously, I met an old acquaintance in the desert. He told me some news. Tagan Shanxiong said. This old friend of mine is a local tyrant in this area. He has some information that others don't know about. Because he is familiar with me, he told me this information. Oh, what news? After Xiaochen heard that, he nodded without batting an eyelid. It sounded like breaking the current formation was a last-minute decision. This friend of mine is called Wang Kaichao. He has been doing well in the Hakanamata Desert. He is an old adventurer here. Of course, he rarely takes risks now. After he has a family, he mainly makes a living by inquiring about and selling information, as well as helping people solve problems. He basically doesn't come to the desert anymore. This time, I came early, so I went to Brother Wang's place to sit for a while. That's when I heard this news. In the treasury behind this formation, there is an extraterrestrial ink meteorite. I wonder if young hero Xiao knows about this thing? What? Extraterrestrial ink meteorite. Xiaochen was a little surprised. He didn't expect Tagan Shanxiong's real goal to be this extraterrestrial ink meteorite. It seemed that the news that Xia Zhili had received was not fake. Now others had also received this news. Yes, young hero Zhao's reaction means that you must know about this thing. If it was an ordinary treasure, we might have given up. But this thing is too precious. Tagan Shanxiong said. I also told this news to my companions at the last minute. They are also very supportive of finding a devil cultivator to form a team and break the formation. So that's how it is. No wonder, with such a precious treasure, anyone would change their mind at the last minute. Xiaochen suddenly understood and then said, in that case, there is no problem. I am also very interested in this treasure. But if we find it, will I have a share? Of course. Hearing Xiaochen's question, Tagan Shanxiong quickly nodded and said, everyone who sees it has a share. In addition to the spirit stones that we promised you, we can divide this extraterrestrial ink meteorite equally. However, if there are other things, we will have to subtract the value of the spirit stones and then divide it with you. Alright, this distribution was very fair, so Xiaochen naturally did not disagree. If he were to look for it himself, he might not even be able to find the extraterrestrial ink meteorite. He would get lost the moment he entered. Alright, now I will start breaking the formation, Tagan Shanxiong said. Alright, what should I do? Xiaochen asked. There is an eye of the formation here. When we attack the formation will release a backlash force. At this time, young hero Xiao only needs to sit cross-legged on the eye of the formation and use all your strength to resist the backlash attack of the formation, Tagan Shanxiong explained. That's good. Sit on the eye of the formation? Xiaochen felt that it was a little strange, but he still nodded. He knew nothing about what these people wanted to do. For the sake of the extraterrestrial ink meteorite, he could only take a risk. In any case, it did not matter if he did not understand the formation. There was still the Elder Heaven Ancestor who did. If there were any problems, the Elder Heaven Ancestor would also remind him, so that he would not be at a loss. Baldi, you stand here. Shueqian, you stand here. Tagan Shanxiong made arrangements and gestured for his 4 teammates to stand in suitable positions. Finally he said to Xiaochen, young hero Xiao, you stand here. That is the eye of the formation. Xiaochen nodded and walked over. However, when he passed by Shueqian, he heard her whisper, be careful. Huh. Xiaochen found it a little strange. Why did Shueqian remind him to be careful? What did she mean? Along the way, he could tell that Shueqian was a very cold woman. She almost never spoke, nor did she say anything. She just walked with everyone. Now that she had suddenly reminded him to be careful, Xiaochen found it indescribably strange. If he had been a teammate that she had known in the past, there would have been no harm in reminding him. However, Xiaochen did not know her, yet she had said such a thing. Furthermore, even if they were teammates, Shueqian still behaved very coldly and did not speak much along the way. However, although Xiaochen was puzzled, he still walked to the eye of the formation without batting an eyelid. He was secretly vigilant. Wait a moment. When I say start, everyone will go all out and use your strongest skills to attack in front of you. Don't hold back. Go all out. Do you understand? Tagan Shanxiong said loudly. Understood. Everyone nodded. Alright, get ready, start. After saying that, Tagan Shanxiong took the lead. A series of banging sounds could be heard. Everyone took out their ultimate skills and attacked the formation in front of them. Although they seemed to be hitting the air, there was actually an invisible barrier in front of them. This was the formation. Xiao Chun had experience in this aspect. Back in the mountains behind the Immortal Resort, he, Clay Den, and the others had used a similar method to break the formation of an ancient ruin. However, just as Xiao Chun wanted to ask the Elder Heaven Ancestor if there was any other way to break the formation, he felt a powerful force similar to an electric current surging toward him. Xiao Chun's body quivered, and he subconsciously began to circulate the mantra to defend himself. However, as everyone attacked, the force seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. It continuously attacked Xiao Chun, causing him to be overwhelmed. At this moment, Xiao Chun was sweating profusely. He subconsciously wanted to leave the eye of the formation, because the force was too strong. Xiao Chun knew that if he did not leave, it was very likely that he would suffer internal injuries. As for killing him, that was also a possibility. However, the next moment, Xiao Chun knew that leaving the eye of the formation was an extravagant hope. Because under the restraint of this force, Xiao Chun's body seemed to have been electrocuted. He could not even move. There was indeed a problem. Xiao Chun was secretly shocked. This Tagan Shanxiong did not have any good intentions. He seemed to be very frank and straightforward, but anyone who resisted the backlash of the eye of the formation would be courting death. And Xiao Chun finally understood what Xue Qian meant by be careful. He really had to be careful. However, why did Xue Qian remind him? Elder Heaven Ancestor, what should I do? I think I'm going to die. Xiao Chun turned pale with fright. Why do I have such a dumb disciple like you? Elder Heaven Ancestor was a little speechless. What's the point of your Heaven's stolen fortune battle art? You can't resist it, but you can still heal yourself. With the intensity of the attack, it's enough for you to endure it and continuously heal yourself. That works. Xiao Chun was stunned. If I can't die, Elder Heaven Ancestor snorted. Xiao Chun came to a realization. No wonder Elder Sky did not warn him earlier. It turned out that Elder Sky had the confidence to break it. Xiao Chun hurriedly circulated his mental cultivation method and gave up on resisting. Instead, he focused on treating his injuries. Anyway, he wouldn't die from his injuries for a while. He could endure it here and there, so he could be busy. Thus, Xiao Chun continued to suffer the backlash. Get injured, heal, suffer the backlash again. Get injured again, heal again. And so on. Xiao Chun struggled with great difficulty as he suffered the backlash and injuries again and again. At the beginning, Xiao Chun was a little overwhelmed, but very quickly, Xiao Chun liked this feeling. This was because Xiao Chun discovered that his strength was growing bit by bit as he continuously healed himself. Although it was very slow, he could still sense it. The foundation establishment stage was different from the Qi refinement stage. Every little bit of improvement was very difficult. Back in the Tao Enlightenment Sand Valley, the pure heaven and earth spiritual Qi only allowed him to improve a little. Even now, he still hadn't reached the peak of the first level of the foundation establishment stage. Chapter 641. He hadn't expected that the power from the backlash could help Xiao Chun break through. Now, Xiao Chun hoped that these people would attack slower, so that the array formation wouldn't be broken so easily. Time passed slowly as Xiao Chun continued to repair and improve. On the other side, Tagan Shanxiong realized that Xiao Chun seemed to be fine. He was secretly surprised. This Xiao Chun looked like a martial master level 1 demonic cultivator previously. Why was it that the abilities he displayed now were completely different? Although he couldn't sense Xiao Chun's specific strength, because Xiao Chun hadn't made a move yet. Whether it was the aura Xiao Chun was displaying or the time he had spent resisting the backlash, it proved that this guy was definitely a third-level martial master demonic cultivator. This discovery made Tagan Shanxiong's heart tremble. He was only a 5th-level martial master. He had thought that Xiao Chun wouldn't be able to survive this round of backlash. Once the array formation was opened, there would be nothing left for Xiao Chun. But now, It seemed that this guy was still very tenacious. This was because Tag and Shanxiong knew that there wouldn't be many extraterrestrial ink meteorites in the ruins. He was afraid that there would only be 2 or 3 pieces. They didn't even have enough for their own people, so why should they share it with Xiao Chun? Previously, he had tricked Xiao Chun into coming here. In this world, the easiest lies to deceive people were half-truths and half-lies. That was how he had done it. He had weaved a very convincing lie, but he had underestimated Xiao Chun's strength. However, at this moment, he couldn't care less about Xiao Chun. He could only continue to attack the array gloomily. Perhaps he would find another opportunity later. If it really didn't work, he would hint to his teammates to join forces and kill Xiao Chun. In any case, he couldn't let him get the extraterrestrial ink meteorites. It would be fine if there were too many of them, but if there were too few, there definitely wouldn't be enough to share. He was absolutely unwilling to watch Xiao Chun take it away. Xiao Chun, on the other hand, didn't care. He kept healing and improving. He already couldn't remember how much time had passed. Under the powerful force, there was almost no place on his body that wasn't injured. Often when one place was healed, another place would be seriously injured. He could only continue to be a firefighter and heal himself. However, he didn't find it troublesome at all. Every time he recovered, his strength would increase. Suddenly, he felt a hissing sound coming from within his body, and a moment later, this sound caused all the meridians in his body to tremble slightly. Yuan Qi began to circulate wildly in his body, and like a tidal wave, it gathered in his dantian. A hint of surprise flashed in Xiao Chun's eyes. This wasn't the first time he had such a feeling. He knew that he was about to break through again. Sure enough, the next moment, after Xiao Chun healed the injuries on his body, his whole body shook, and he also broke through. He became a cultivator at the peak of the first level of the foundation establishment stage, and he broke through without using any cultivation resources. This was a very rare situation. From the looks of it, the power of the backlash definitely contained something similar to spiritual energy. However, it was offensive in nature. Under the mental cultivation method's mnemonic chant, as his injuries healed, it fused with the primordial qi in his body, allowing him to break through. Xiao Chun's breakthrough did not attract too much attention. This was because he was a cultivator. His breakthrough was different from that of a martial cultivator or a demonic cultivator. Moreover, he was circulating the energy of the backlash, so no one noticed anything at all. Tagan, Shanxiong, and the others were constantly attacking the array, and they were also paying attention to Xiao Chun's matter. Finally, with everyone's attacks, the array let out a loud bang, and on Xiao Chun's side, he also welcomed the most powerful attack since the beginning. It was too awesome. Xiao Chun felt that with this attack, he had suddenly consolidated his strength at the peak of the first level of the foundation establishment stage. This made his whole body tremble, and he felt a little regretful. How could he break the array so quickly? If he continued to break it endlessly, would he eventually be pushed to the peak of the foundation establishment stage? Of course, it was just a thought, and it shouldn't be possible. Xiao Chun pretended that he didn't know anything, stood up, wiped the cold sweat on his forehead, and said, "This backlash is 2F** king strong. I almost died, especially the last attack. Fortunately, everyone was strong, or else I really wouldn't have been able to hold on. Haha, this is enough to prove that young hero Zhao's strength is superb. Congratulations." Although Tagan and Shanxiong looked very happy, they were very regretful in their hearts. If they had known, they would have broken it a little longer. This guy actually seemed to be fine. What should they do? Yeah, I thought I couldn't hold on any longer. Captain Tagan, are you kidding me? Why do I feel that the backlash is so strong? Xiao Chun nodded and said, "How can that be? I haven't experienced any backlash, but it is true that the backlash is very strong. But aren't you also fine?" Tagan Shanxiong said. "That's true. Then let's quickly go in," Xiao Chun said. Tagan Shanxiong seemed a little impatient, but in his heart, he was thinking about how to get rid of Xiao Chun. "Xiao Chun, you stay at the entrance." After Tagan Shanxiong finished speaking, he took the lead and stepped into the array. Xiao Chun followed closely behind, and the other 3 teammates also followed. They didn't expect that after stepping into the array, they would suddenly see a completely different world in front of them. The dense forest before had turned into a dark corridor. After entering the array, they needed one person to stay outside. If there was a problem, they wouldn't be completely annihilated. Moreover, if someone came from outside, they could also notify them. This is the Paoli clan's secret treasure house. Originally, the Paoli clan probably left in a hurry and didn't take some of the treasures here with them. That's why it's our turn, Tag and Shanxiong explained to everyone as they walked. But we can't let our guard down now that we're in. This place could be filled with danger at any time. As soon as he finished speaking, he stopped in his tracks. What's wrong, Captain Tagan? Xiao Chen was also secretly on guard and asked in a calm and puzzled manner. I feel that there is some danger ahead, Tag and Shanxiong said, then took out something that looked like a small ball from his backpack and threw it forward. Sure enough, when the ball rolled over, a large rock fell from the sky without any warning and smashed into the road ahead. Everyone was shocked and broke out in a cold sweat. If not for Tag and Shanxiong's warning, it was likely that at least 2 people would have been hit, and that would be Tag and Shanxiong and Xiao Chen, who were walking at the front. Xiao Chen was also shocked. That was close, Captain Tagan. How did you find out? Speaking from experience, Tag and Shanxiong waved his hand and said with a solemn expression, Look at the color of the ground in front. It's a little different. I'm afraid that not only can this rock fall, it can also rise. After saying that, Tag and Shanxiong walked forward. After taking 2 steps, the rock rose again without any warning and disappeared. Oh, will it fall again? Xiao Chen asked. Probably not, Tag and Shanxiong said. It should only fall once in a period of time. Everyone just hurry up and pass through. No one dared to be negligent and quickly followed behind Tag and Shanxiong. Along the way, they encountered many similar traps, but they were easily dispelled by Tag and Shanxiong. It seemed that he was indeed adept at exploring ruins. Although this person was using Xiao Chen as cannon fodder, Xiao Chen had to admit that if he had not followed Tag and Shanxiong, he would not have been able to enter even if he had broken the array formation. Phew! Tag and Shanxiong led everyone to the end of the corridor, and finally arrived in front of a door. He let out a long sigh and said, Okay, there's nothing else. We have arrived at our destination. Hearing this, everyone including Xiao Chen relaxed. Although it was not difficult along the way and Tag and Shanxiong had led the team to resolve the traps, if Tag and Shanxiong had overlooked something, wouldn't everyone have suffered? Now that they had arrived safely, they were naturally very happy. However, Xueqian said, Captain Tagan, why don't you open the door? This was Xueqian's 3rd sentence along the way. The first sentence was a self-introduction, the second to remind Xiao Chen to be careful, and this was the 3rd sentence. Xueqian's sudden words made Xiao Chen's eyelids twitch again. Xueqian did not seem to want him to die. She had warned him once before, so why did she say it again? This door is the same as before. It can only be opened by a demonic cultivator. Let's all step back and give young hero Xiao a chance to perform. Tag and Shanxiong said. F***ck your chance to perform. Xiao Chen cursed in his heart. It was probably a chance to die, right? Xiao Chen did not believe that there was a need for demonic cultivators here. Normally, Xiao Chen should have been dead when the formation was being broken. How could he have survived until now to open the door? At that time, Tag and Shanxiong obviously wanted to use him as cannon fodder. If he had died at that time, who could Tag and Shanxiong find now? Ah, do you need me again? Xiao Chen still had to rely on Tag and Shanxiong, so it was not good to fall out with him for the time being. Who knew if there would be traps inside after the door was opened? So Xiao Chen could only pretend that he did not know and ask. Xueqian glanced at Xiao Chen but did not speak. Tag and Shanxiong said, It's very simple. Just use your full strength to break open the door. Oh, then you guys can dodge. I'm going to use a big move. Just now, I was resisting the formation's backlash, so I don't have much strength now. I have to use a big move in one go, Xiao Chen said. Okay, everyone step back. Tag and Shanxiong sneered in his heart. We won't go forward even if you ask us to. Whoever rushes in first will die. Originally, he thought that you would die while breaking the formation. At this time, he planned to sacrifice one of his teammates. However, since Xiao Chun was still alive, it would naturally be Xiao Chun. The teammate he was referring to was Xue Qian. Although Xue Qian had teamed up with them a few times, she was cold and arrogant. She rarely spoke, so her relationship with Tagan Shanxiong and the others was not very good. Usually in the group she rarely chatted. Usually, when there was nothing to do, she would just lurk. Most importantly, he saw Xue Qian's voluptuous figure. Although he did not know her appearance, he hinted several times that he wanted her to be his woman. However, Xue Qian did not agree. In his anger, Tagan Shanxiong treated Xue Qian as cannon fodder. Chapter 642. Anyway, there weren't enough extraterrestrial ink meteorites to be distributed. Killing one would reduce the disputes. And Xiaoma, it's time to perform. Xiao Chen entered the divine sense space and said to Xiaoma, "Okay, master, what do you want me to do?" And Xiaoma was eager to try. "In a while, I will pretend to activate a big move. Then, you will go out and help me break the door open. Then, go in and see if there is any problem." Xiao Chen ordered him. "Oh, no problem." And Xiaoma was a demon. As long as it wasn't some kind of spell, the mechanisms that fell from the big stones were useless to him. They couldn't cause any damage at all. Xiao Chen danced there and finally activated a big move. In fact, there was only momentum and no attack. And Xiaoma took advantage of the momentum and slammed into the door at the end of the corridor. Boom! With a loud noise, and Xiaoma directly smashed the door open and rushed in. Then, he heard a series of ka-ka sounds coming from inside the house. A few large stones also fell at the door. Everyone only saw Xiao Chen activate an unknown martial arts skill. Then, a black shadow flew out from Xiao Chen's palms. They thought it was demonic energy, but no one knew that it was a demon. Of course, even if they saw it clearly, they wouldn't know what a demon was. It was difficult to understand if one wasn't a cultivator. Xiao Chen sneered in his heart. As expected, there was danger. If he wasn't a cultivator, if he really activated a martial arts skill with the ability of a martial artist, it would be impossible for him to attack from such a long distance. He would probably have to be in front of him. In that case, he would probably be in danger now. However, at this moment, Xiao Chen also pretended that he didn't see the problem. It wasn't good for him to fall out with Tagan Shanxiong. He just kept in Xiaoma and said, "Okay, I've opened the door. What should I do next?" Haha, young hero Xiao is indeed powerful. This martial arts skill is really shocking. It can be activated from such a long distance, and the attack power is so high. This is the first time I've heard of it. Tagan Shanxiong's expression was a little unnatural. He didn't expect that Xiao Chen wouldn't be killed. "I'm alright," Xiao Chen chuckled. "I still have some confidence in my own martial skills. Now that I can contribute some strength to our team, I am also very happy. Otherwise, if we get a share of the outer star ink meteorites for nothing, I would be too embarrassed to take it. Originally, I didn't want to take it. I just wanted some spirit stones. After all, I only contributed a little when I broke the formation. Afterwards, I followed Captain Tagan to gain experience points. But now, since this door was opened by me, it seems that my contribution is quite big. When the time comes, I can take it with a clear conscience." F***CK. Tagan Shanxiong cursed in his heart. So this was what this guy was thinking. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have let him break the door. He could have used other methods to open the door. He had wanted to trick him to death, but since he was too embarrassed to use the outer star ink meteor, why would he want to trick him to death? It was really a case of going for wool and coming home shorn. Now Xiao Chen was not tricked to death. Instead, he asked for his reward with a peace of mind. However, on the surface, it was not good for him to say anything. He could only say, "That's what I should do." Now he only hoped that there would be 6 outer star ink meteors. Everyone would get 1 each. That would be the best. If there were less, then he could only join forces with his teammates to kill Xiao Chen. In fact, this was also the move that Tagan Shanxiong was most unwilling to make. Through observation along the way, he found that Xiao Chen was at least a 4th-layer demon master. The big move just now proved this point. Even if the 5 of them worked together to kill him, it would take some effort. They might even get injured. It was a mistake. Tag and Shanxiong took the lead and walked into the room. At the door of the room, there were some traces. Obviously, it had been attacked by a mechanism just now. However, it had now disappeared, and there was no other danger. The room was not big. There was only a small box in the room. Aside from that, there was nothing else. Tag and Shanxiong took a step forward and opened the box. When he saw what was inside, he revealed a look of pleasant surprise. However, there was also a trace of regret. Inside the box were the outer star ink meteors. Furthermore, there were 3 of them, 1 large and 2 small. This discovery made him somewhat depressed. It looked like there was not enough to go around. Perhaps he could only kill Xiaochen. How is it, Captain Tagan? Are the things inside the box outer star ink meteors? Xiaochen asked impatiently. Actually, he was also testing the waters. That's right, it is the outer star ink meteors. Tag and Shanxiong nodded without batting an eyelid. Then, he let the other teammates come forward to take a look. Just as everyone was concentrating on looking, Tag and Shanxiong had already retreated to the side. He suddenly shouted, "The number of outer star ink meteors is relatively small. Teammates, pay attention. Let's get rid of Xiaochang first." The reason why he secretly hid and shouted was that he was afraid that Xiao Chun would suddenly attack him. However, now that Xiao Chun attacked his other teammates, it did not matter. These 3 outer star ink meteors were not enough, even for the 5 of them. The large one was divided into 2, and the small one was only 4. If Xiao Chun killed one of his teammates for him, that would be perfect. It would also arouse the hatred of the other teammates. They would go all out and cooperate with him to kill Xiao Chun. Although Tag and Shanxiong had given the order, his 4 teammates were also stunned. After all, these people had been adventuring together in the past, but they had never worked together to kill someone. They had listened to Tag and Shanxiong, but they were caught off guard and could not react in time to kill someone. Sure enough, he had revealed his fox tail. Xiao Chun laughed coldly in his heart. However, he did not make a move. Instead, he shouted, "There are only 3 outer star ink meteors. Some of you will definitely not be able to obtain them. Who is willing to fight alongside me and kill the others?" Tag and Shanxiong's expression changed and he shouted, "Don't listen to him. Let's attack together. When the time comes, I can give it to you all." Tag and Shanxiong did not expect Xiao Chun to be so cunning. He actually knew how to make use of the number of outer star ink meteors. Therefore, he immediately responded and gave everyone some benefits. In his opinion, he would kill Xiao Chun first. At worst, he would kill Xueqian. That way, he would have more. "I'm with you." Xueqian pulled out a long saber from behind her back and held it in her hand. She stood together with Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun was slightly taken aback. He did not expect it to be Xueqian. He had merely shouted in a probing manner. At that time, even if there was no one to help, he was confident that he would be able to escape with the cooperation of the true Samadhi fire and the great demon in Xiaoma. However, he was afraid that he would miss the opportunity to obtain the outer star ink meteors. "Xueqian, you be *tch. Tag and Shanxiong was furious. He did not expect that the first person to rebel would be Xueqian, a woman who did not speak much. "There are at most 4 outer star ink meteors. I'm afraid the person who will not be able to get them in the end will be me, right?" Xueqian looked coldly at Tag and Shanxiong and said, "I know that you have long disliked me. You are very good." Tag and Shanxiong was furious, but he still said, "Baldy Skinny, what about you? Are you with me?" Baldy and Skinny nodded. Since Xueqian had sided with Xiao Chun, a fierce battle was inevitable. However, they were not afraid. Xueqian was the weakest among them. She only had the strength of a first-stage martial master, while they were third-stage martial masters. "Haha, very good. I will deal with Xiao Chang. The 2 of you deal with Xueqian. However, don't kill her. Cripple her. I want to let this woman have a good time. In a while, the 3 of us will take turns." Tag and Shanxiong's mouth flashed with a lewd smile. This kid Xiao Chang's martial arts are long-range attacks. He is definitely not good at close combat. You don't have to be afraid of him. I will deal with him. No problem. Baldy's eyes flashed with a lewd look. It was obvious that he had coveted Xueqian for a long time. Now that there was a chance, How could he let it go? He immediately took the lead and grabbed at Xue Qian's chest with a lewd look. Xiao Chen frowned. This person was really shameless. However, Xiao Chen was still very grateful that Xue Qian had stood up for him. Naturally, he would not let her suffer a loss. He threw a fireball at Baldy's face. Phew! Baldy was instantly set on fire. He immediately became a flaming man as he cried out in pain. This time, Xiao Chen did not hold back. His strength had increased, so the strength of the true Samadhi fire had naturally increased. Before going to Dao Comprehension Sand Valley, Xiao Chen definitely did not have the confidence to burn Baldy to death. But now, Baldy only struggled and howled a few times before he stopped breathing. He fell to the ground and turned into a charred mass. Gradually, he turned into a wisp of green smoke and grayish-white ashes. What? Tagan Shanxiong was stunned. He did not expect Xiao Chen to be so powerful. He had directly attacked with a punch. He was afraid that if Xiao Chen attacked again and killed Skinny Man, he would be finished. He had to get rid of Xiao Chen as soon as possible. Xiao Chen had just activated the true Samadhi fire, so he did not have enough Yuan Qi in his body. He could only use the dark flame palm to deal with it. The dark flame palm struck out. However, although Xiao Chen was at the foundation establishment stage, he was only at the peak of the first stage of the foundation establishment stage. He was not on the same level as Tagan Shanxiong, who was at the fourth stage of the martial master stage. It might not be a problem for Xiao Chen to fight a third stage martial master. However, it was impossible for him to fight a fourth stage martial master. The two of them exchanged blows and retreated a few steps at the same time. However, Xiao Chen was clearly in a more sorry state. He vomited 2 mouthfuls of blood. As for Tagan Shanxiong, other than taking a few steps back to dissipate the force of Xiao Chen's palm, he was not injured. Ah! At the same time, Xue Qian's exclamation came from the other side. Xiao Chen was slightly stunned. This exclamation was very familiar. He felt as though he had heard it somewhere. However, when he turned his head, he saw Xue Qian being kicked away by Skinny Man. Xue Qian was only at the first stage of the martial master stage, while Skinny Man was at the third stage. The difference between the two was too great. Xue Qian retreated repeatedly, and was not Skinny Man's match. Xiao Chen was somewhat anxious. The Tagan Shanxiong in front of him was somewhat troublesome. As he healed himself, he ordered in Little Demon, "Go help Xue Qian kill Skinny Man." Chapter 643. He was not afraid of exposing his trump card. Anyway, this Xue Qian should be on his side. The two of them could fight together. So Xiao Chen was not afraid that she would know something. All right. And Xiaomo rushed out with a whoosh and went straight to the thin man. What the hell? What the hell? The thin man suddenly saw a black shadow rushing towards him. It was floating in the air, and it was still in human form. He was suddenly shocked. Oh my god, there's a ghost here. Captain Tagan, is this the ghost of the Bubbly clan? And Xiaomo's current strength was only at the 8th level of the Qi refinement stage. Even if he was a ghost talisman demon, he could only be on par with the master at the first level of the martial master. However, the key was that his current form was so scary that the thin man almost peed his pants. You broke into the forbidden area of the Bubbly clan. Die. Ha 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 ha. And Xiaomo smiled strangely and continued to chase the thin man. Oh my god, Captain Tagan, run, there's a ghost. The thin man was a little overwhelmed and retreated. Xue Qian also seized the opportunity and slashed at the thin man with her long saber. Although she could not kill the thin man, with the help of Xiaoma, she turned the tables and gained the upper hand. Don't be afraid. You're not afraid of humans, so why would you be afraid of ghosts? Tagan Shanxiong was bold. He sneered and said, "You can kill him too." After that, he continued to punch at Xiao Chen and shouted, "Dazzling Star Fist." Xiao Chen did not exchange blows with him this time. Instead, he retreated and began to defend. Xiao Chen had suffered a great loss in the previous exchange, so he simply changed his mind. He only defended and recovered his physical strength. He was ready to activate the fireball skill again. As long as he could endure until his physical strength and vitality were replenished, he could kill Tagan Shanxiong in front of him. In order to kill the bald man with one move, Xiao Chen used all his strength. At this time his vitality was weak. Haha. Seeing Xiao Chen retreating, Tagan Shanxiong was overjoyed. He thought that he had figured out Xiao Chen's method. As long as he fought with Xiao Chen in close combat, Xiao Chen would not be able to activate that super powerful move. In his opinion, Xiao Chen's move could only be activated from a distance. It had no effect at close combat. In his opinion, Xiao Chen's move could only be activated from a distance. It had no effect at close combat. On the other side, although an little demon had joined in, the skinny man regained his confidence because of Tagan Shanxiong's encouragement. He could also see that this ghost only had the strength of a first-stage martial master. Why should he be afraid? He was an expert of the third-stage martial master after all. Therefore, although he couldn't say that he would win directly, he was much more confident than before. On the other hand, an little demon and Xue Qian didn't have it easy either. At most, they wouldn't be at a disadvantage if they worked together, but it would be difficult for them to defeat the thin man. Although Xue Qian was puzzled as to where the ghost had come from, and why it was helping her fight the thin man, she did not ask any questions. She did not have the time to ask. Haha kid, aren't you awesome? Do you want to kill me? Very well, I'll kill you first. Tagan Shanxiong sneered. If you know what's good for you and don't want the things, I can let you live. I didn't expect you to be so greedy. When Xiao Chen heard Tagan Shanxiong's words, he was filled with disdain. This person must be crazy. He asked for his help, but he didn't give him any benefits. All the good things were taken away by him. What was he thinking? Xue Qian, if you surrender now and agree to be my lover, let's deal with Xiao Chong and the ghost together. How about it? Tagan Shanxiong could tell that the thin man was unable to deal with Xue Qian and the ghost alone. Therefore he tried to tempt him. As he spoke, his hands did not stay idle as he continued to attack Xiao Chen. Don't even think about it. Xue Qian snorted coldly. Don't think I'm stupid. If you don't know what's good for you. When I get rid of this brat, it'll be your turn. Tagan Shanxiong's voice became stern as he started to attack fiercely. He quickly attacked Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen did not respond and only retreated. Brat, let's see how long you're going to retreat. You've already circled around this house a few times, haven't you? Tagan Shanxiong said sarcastically. Oh, I'm preparing a big move to kill you, Xiao Chen said. Haha, this is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Why don't you fight? How about I let you fight? Tagan Shanxiong did not care at all as he continued to attack Xiao Chen. However, I'm going to kill you first. Alright, as you wish. Xiao Chen threw out a Samadhi True Fire fireball, which smashed onto Tagan Shanxiong's body. Tagan Shanxiong's expression changed, and he knew that it was not good. However, because he was too close to Xiao Chen, it was already too late when he realized it. He did not even have the chance to dodge, and was directly hit. Ouch! Tagan Shanxiong wailed as his entire body began to burn. He fell to the ground in pain and rolled around. Xiao Chen did not care about him. This person was a fourth-stage martial master, but there was no problem. At most he would die a little later. After being hit by the Samadhi True Fire, even a fourth-stage martial master would not be able to. Thus, Xiao Chen turned to reinforce Xue Qian and in Xiaoma. At this time, the skinny man also realized that something was wrong. He looked at Tagan Shanxiong, who was screaming on the ground, but showed no signs of extinguishing the fire. He knew that the situation was hopeless, and that he would only be courting death if he continued to struggle. No more fighting, I surrender. The skinny man shouted. Too late. Xiao Chen naturally could not reveal his trump card to such a traitor. Xue Qian, and he had a common interest. Who would believe that this skinny man would betray them at the last minute? Xiao Chen sent a dark flame palm over. At this time, Xiaoma and Xue Qian also attacked. Boom! The skinny man was sent flying by Xiao Chen. In the air, he was stopped by Xiaoma and knocked to the ground. Before he could get up, the Qian Shui saber fell, and the skinny man's head fell to the ground. Xiaoma returned to Xiao Chen's divine sense space without batting an eyelid. Xiao Chen praised this demon for being sensible. Outside, Xiao Chen could not communicate with him through telepathy. He could only communicate through telepathy. Xiao Chen's level was still low. Even his ghost talisman demon, could not transmit telepathy through the air. If he asked Xiaoma to come back, then Xue Qian would definitely find out that this ghost was caused by him. Although Xiao Chen felt that Xue Qian would not spread it around because her personality was very cold, it was better to be careful. Now that Xiaoma had returned by himself, Xiao Chen could completely deny that he had anything to do with Xiaoma. Phew! Xue Qian squatted on the ground. She was panting heavily. Obviously, she was very tired from dealing with this fierce battle. It's okay. Xiao Chen looked at Xue Qian and said, "Thank you for standing on my side just now. No need. He was going to kill me sooner or later. I was alone, but I didn't have a chance to resist. I wanted to find some good things together, so I compromised." Xue Qian shook her head. If it were not for Xiao Chen, she would definitely be the one who would not get the extraterrestrial ink meteorite today. Even if she could not get it, she would just accept it and not complain. This was because she knew that Tagan Shanxiong had thoughts about her. She did not comply, and attracted his killing intent. Therefore, if she wanted to follow them to get some good things, she could only do it when there was enough. If there was not enough, she would take the initiative to give up. So that's how it is. Xiao Chen nodded. Can you walk out of here? They are all dead. Let's go back. Yes. Xue Qian nodded. That's good. Let's split this extraterrestrial ink meteorite equally. You get a big one, and I get 2 small ones. Xiao Chen did not know whether this thing was useful to him or not. He was a cultivator, and Xia Jili was a martial cultivator. This thing was useful to martial cultivators and demonic cultivators, but it might not be useful to cultivators. Therefore, Xiao Chen kept a small one as a backup. No, just now you were fighting the enemy. I was just supporting you. I just want a small one. Xue Qian shook her head. She decisively took out a small extraterrestrial ink meteorite from the box and put it in her arms. Okay. Xiao Chen did not expect Xue Qian to be so obedient. He also put away the remaining 2 extraterrestrial ink meteorites. This thing is useful to you. In the cultivation world, we call it star ink meteorite. It is a good thing to help a foundation establishment cultivator break through to the golden core stage. Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice sounded in Xiao Chen's mind. This can help you reach the perfect golden core stage. It has the same effect as the so-called perfect breakthrough to the martial general stage. Oh, it really is useful. Xiao Chen was stunned. He thought to himself, is he not going to give it to Xia Jili and keep it for himself? It's useless for you to have so many. One is enough. Elder Heaven Ancestor seemed to know what Xiao Chen was thinking and said, if that's the case, then I'll give one to Xia Jili. This old thing has been taking good care of me. Xiao Chen thought. Let's rest for a while. I'll take you out later. Xue Qian had overdrawn a lot of her physical strength. She was a little weak now. Therefore, she sat cross-legged in a corner of the room and began to silently recover her strength. However, martial cultivators were different from cultivators. Martial cultivators recovered their physical strength very slowly. At most, they could recover to the point where they could move. It was impossible for them to recover to their previous peak state. Xiao Chen nodded and casually searched the skinny man's corpse. The Baldi and Tagan mountain dragon had been burned by him. Even if they had anything good on them, they were gone. Only the skinny man was left. After searching, Xiao Chen secretly cursed the poor man. Other than a car key, there was nothing else. Xiao Chen casually put the car key in his pocket. Then, he turned his head and picked up Xue Qian's long knife from the ground. He used the skinny man's clothes to wipe it clean. Bored, he played with it in his hand. Suddenly, he was slightly stunned. You are the female ninja, Ling Qianxue? Xue Qian, who was recovering her physical strength, trembled slightly. She opened her eyes and looked at Xiao Chen. What female ninja, Ling Qianxue? What are you talking about? Nothing. By now, Xiao Chen could basically confirm that this person should be the Ling Qianxue ninja that he met in Lan City. Although he had not seen her appearance, he could judge from her figure and temperament that this person should be Ling Qianxue. However, he did not know why she did not admit it. Could it be because they were once enemies? But now that they had joined forces, it was difficult for her to face them? Oh, Xue Qian did not explain further. She closed her eyes and recovered her physical strength. Chapter 644. After about an hour, Xue Qian had almost recovered. She stood up and said, "Okay, we can go now." Since Xue Qian refused to admit it, Xiao Chun did not probe further. The two of them walked out of the room, one in front of the other, and returned to the corridor from before. After taking 2 steps, Xue Qian suddenly asked, "By the way, was that ghost one of your men? Why are you afraid?" Xiao Chun asked. "How is that possible?" Xue Qian snorted. She was busy recovering her strength, and did not pay attention to it. But now that she thought about it, it was indeed a little creepy. Where did that ghost come from? "Tell me if you are Ling Qianxue, and I will tell you where that ghost came from," Xiao Chun said. "Then forget it." Xue Qian did not ask any more. Xiao Chun was slightly stunned. This female ninja was quite cute. Her words had completely exposed her identity. If she had chosen to answer, she could have denied it. But saying "forget it" was equivalent to admitting her identity. She was really inexperienced. "There's someone here." After a few steps, Xiao Chun suddenly said and stopped Xue Qian. "Wait! There's someone here? Where?" Xue Qian was stunned. She was already afraid of that ghost. And now Xiao Chun suddenly said that there was someone here. But where was the person? Why did she not see him? "Don't scare me." However, after Xue Qian said that, she seemed to vaguely hear footsteps coming from far away. But since she could hear it in this corridor, it should be someone walking in this direction. Could it be the small success guard outside? Xiao Chun said. "It shouldn't be. He always guards outside. He is a trusted follower of Tagan Shanxiong, so every time there is something good, Tagan Shanxiong will leave him a portion. And most importantly, oh no, I'm afraid that Tagan Shanxiong sent him a distress signal just now. Did he dare to come after receiving it?" Xue Qian said. "Oh, to be honest, Xiao Chun did not think much of this initial martial master. To him, this person was only a 3rd-level martial master, and was no match for him. However, he still dared to come here even though Tagan Shanxiong was in danger. He really had guts. Sure enough, the two of them didn't have to wait for long before they saw Xiao Chun running over. However, when he saw Xiao Chun and Xue Qian, he was stunned and stopped in his tracks. "You guys are all right? Where's Captain Tagan?" "He's inside dead," Xiao Chun said calmly. Dead. Xiao Chun was stunned, and looked at Xiao Chun in surprise. How did he die?" "You wanted to kill me, but I killed you instead," Xiao Chun said. "If you want to avenge him, you can do it. If you don't want to, you can go in and collect his corpse." "You killed him?" Xiao Chun was in disbelief. "What about the others?" "Only Xue Qian spoke up for me. The others helped him kill me, so I killed them too." Xiao Chun looked at the somewhat crazy Song Xian, and didn't know what to say. However, if what Song Xian said was true, then it was understandable. The enemy's strength was higher than his own. He was clearly in front of him, but he couldn't take revenge. This kind of feeling was really not good. "Oh, if you don't believe me, here is a photo of me and Yalan. Xue Qian knows her." As he said this, Song Xian reached into his pocket and took out a small clip. He took out a photo from it and handed it to Xiao Chun. It was a photo of a man and a woman. Xue Qian took a look and nodded. Xiao Chun understood what she meant. This photo must be of Yalan. In that case, this man whose real name was Song Xian was probably telling the truth. "Okay, I believe you. What about you?" Xiao Chun asked. My goal is actually revenge. These years, I have been hanging out with Tagan Shanxiong, and have gotten a lot of good things. Young hero Xiao, I can give them all to you." Song Xian said. "Forget it, there's no need." Xiao Chun waved his hand. He was not interested in good things. He was only interested in one thing. "Where is the spirit jade mine you mentioned? Has it been mined?" Yalan found it, but after Yalan was injured, her memory became incomplete. She suffered a serious head injury, so she doesn't remember where the spirit jade mine is. The doctor said that this may be selective amnesia. Because she was injured because of something, she has become resistant to it. Song Xian said. "Is that so?" Xiao Chun was a little disappointed. He was thinking that if he found the spirit jade mine, he would be able to quickly cultivate again. He was a cultivator, and his cultivation was different from those martial cultivators and devil cultivators. He needed a lot of heaven and earth spiritual chi. Currently, there was no heaven and earth spiritual chi in the secular world. So what he needed were spirit stones and spirit jades, especially spirit jades. If he could find a spirit jade mine, it would be really amazing. But now, it seemed that Tagan Shanxiong was dead, and Yalan was injured and couldn't remember. Xiao Chen could only give up for the time being. Young hero Xiao, are you interested in the spirit jade mine? Then when I go back, I will find a way to ask for you. Song Xian asked. Although he thought that the spirit jade mine was good, it was only valuable. He could exchange it for a lot of points in the warrior guild. But since Yalan didn't want to think about it, he didn't ask. After all, he had been following Tagan Shanxiong all these years, and had gotten a lot of cultivation resources. But since his benefactor Xiao Chen needed it, he had to ask no matter what. Thank you. Xiao Chen nodded. Then how do I contact you after I find it? Song Xian asked. If Xueqian can find me, you should be able to contact her, right? Xiao Chen asked. Of course, if I have any news, I will inform Xueqian. Chapter 645. I didn't. You said it yourself. Xiao Chen said. Humph. Xueqian snorted coldly. It was you who went against Master Knight Island. As a ninja under Master Knight Island, I must protect the interests of the Sakura group. If you go against us again, I will still kill you. You are biting the hand that feeds you. Xiao Chen curled his lips. Do you believe that I will let the ghost come out and scare you? I don't believe it. Xueqian said. Xiao Chen gave an order to Xiaoma, and Xiaoma suddenly appeared in front of Xueqian. Ah! Xueqian was shocked by the sudden appearance of the ghost talisman demon. She screamed and then turned to glare at Xiao Chen. Are you a man? You will know if I am, or not if you try. Xiao Chen waved his hand and took back Xiaoma. He said disdainfully, there is something wrong with your skull. You have been brainwashed by the Sakura group. You are the one who has a problem. Xueqian snorted. Don't move. Someone is coming. Xiao Chen suddenly said. Xueqian was stunned. Are you trying to scare me again? No, someone is coming. Xiao Chen said in a deep voice. Could it be Xiaocheng? Zongxian is back? Xueqian stopped. No. Xiao Chen shook his head. And there is more than one person. What? There are others. Xueqian was shocked after hearing this. Who else will come? How would I know? Xiao Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly and said, let's wait and see. Not long after that, two figures appeared before Xiao Chen. They looked somewhat familiar. It was likely that he had seen them somewhere before. Speaking of which, it should be the Dao Comprehension Sand Valley. These two must be the cultivators who escaped together with him. These two people did not have the divine sense that Xiao Chen had. When they saw Xiao Chen coming out, they were also stunned. Originally, they had also come to explore the ruins of the Bubbly clan's cultivation city. Similarly, they were tricked into going to the Dao Enlightenment Sand Valley, and stayed there for more than a year. Now that they had come out, they once again came to the ruins of the Bubbly clan's cultivation city. They were not formation masters, nor were they good at breaking formations. After looking around, they finally found a formation that had been broken. It seemed that it was not completely closed, so they hurried in. They did not expect there to be people inside, and they were going out. Chen, my friend, are you two here for an adventure? According to the rules of the adventurers, you can see that they are not good. You can't find it. When the two of them saw that Xiao Chen and Xueqian were a man and a woman, they guessed that they were not very strong. If they could get a share of the loot without expending much effort, that would be pretty good. Furthermore, as they spoke, they also revealed their martial master strengths. One was a second-layer martial master. The other was a third-layer martial master. Half. Don't say that I didn't get anything here. Even if I did, I won't share it with you. Xiao Chen said indifferently. Get out of the way. What? Friend, are you not going to follow the rules? The third-level martial master sneered and blocked Xiao Chen's path. Rules? All right. My rule is that whoever's fist is harder will have the final say. Xiao Chen did not want to get entangled, but this person did not stop. Xiao Chen did not put 2 second or third level martial masters in his eyes. Your tone is not small. The third level martial master winked at the second level martial master and said, since you don't want to share, don't blame us for being impolite. Impolite? Whatever, Xiao Chen said directly. You two should have come out from the Enlightenment Sand Valley, right? You should have seen how strong my martial skill is. Moreover, you don't know how to be grateful and dare to rob me? The third level martial master was stunned. He carefully looked at Xiao Chen. It was dark here, so he did not see clearly. Now that he looked carefully, it was actually the demonic cultivator from the Enlightenment Sand Valley, who could use a big move and bring everyone away. The second level martial master also recognized Xiao Chen. His expression changed and said, my apologies, so it's this young hero. We were impolite. Yes, then please pass. We will go take a look inside. The third level martial master and the second level martial master had explored together for many years, so they had a tacit understanding. Xiao Chen nodded and walked forward with Xueqian. However, after a few steps, he suddenly turned around and threw a fireball at the third level martial master's body. The third level martial master's hand was only a few inches away from Xiao Chen's back. Trying to sneak attack me? Xiao Chen looked at the third level martial master who was already on fire and said mockingly, is that all you have? I'm sorry. I just killed a fourth level martial master and 2 third level martial masters. You are so weak, yet you dare to rob me. When the second level martial master saw the situation, he didn't even think and knelt on the ground with a putong sound. With a sullen face he begged, great hero, I'm sorry. I didn't want to sneak attack you. It was him. Is that so? Xiao Chen looked at the second level martial master with a smile that wasn't a smile. Of course it was. The second level martial master quickly nodded his head. Oh, then you can also die. As Xiao Chen said this, he directly used a dark flame palm and sent the second level martial master flying. This move might not be very useful against a third level martial master, but it was more than enough to deal with the second level martial master. Boom! The second level martial master was caught off guard and was sent flying by Xiao Chen. He landed on the ground not far away and died with his eyes wide open. Xiao Chen wouldn't show mercy to this kind of person who repaid kindness with enmity. He didn't even look at him and said to Xueqian, let's go. People who repay kindness with enmity usually don't have a good ending. Humph. Xueqian coldly snorted. She knew that Xiao Chen was indirectly scolding the locust tree. This time there was no one else. The two of them went all the way to the exit and then, under Xueqian's lead, they left the Paoli clan's cultivation city ruins. As for why they didn't go to other places, it was because Xueqian had only seen the road map in advance and didn't dare to wander around. I'm going back, what about you? Xueqian looked at Xiao Chen and asked. I plan to go to other places. Right, do you know who that person called Wang Kaichao is? Tag and Shanxiong had mentioned this person before, so Xiao Chen took note of this person. Since this person was the local tyrant of the Hakanamada Desert, he certainly knew a lot of information. Xiao Chen wanted to ask about the Blazing Mountain's heavenly flame. Since his father went missing there might be some clues. However, Tag and Shanxiong said that this person had a good relationship with him. So Xiao Chen was afraid that there would be trouble. Wang Kaichao is an old adventurer in this desert area. I've met him once and had a meal with him. To say that he is familiar with Tag and Shanxiong is not necessarily true. It's just an acquaintance. Xueqian seemed to know what Xiao Chen wanted to know, so she directly said, this person now sells information and mediates conflicts for a living. Therefore, people who ask for information from him usually won't make things difficult for them. Even if they don't know, they will still try their best to ask for information. Then, do you know where he lives? Xiao Chen was relieved. As long as this person didn't have any relationship with Tag and Shanxiong, it was fine. He lives. As she said this, Xueqian took out a map from her pocket. After looking at it for a moment, she pointed to a place and said, it's here. This is a small market formed by the desert martial arts community. It's at the border between the ancient ruins of the Blazing Mountain and the ruins of the Paoli clan cultivation city. This place is not under the jurisdiction of the Warrior Guild, but a free trade place. Wang Kaichao lives there. It's easy to find out. Just go there and ask. Okay, thank you. See you later. After saying this, Xiaochen suddenly thought of something and said, by the way, I'll add your Weixin. If there's any news about Song Xian, let me know. Aren't you afraid that I'll go back and tell Lord Yidao about you? Xueqian glared at Xiaochen, but she still took out her mobile phone. Tell him whatever. Xiaochen didn't care at all. He should know how the Claryman family was destroyed. As long as he's not stupid, he won't take the initiative to find trouble with me. We have no conflict of interest now. My Weixin signal is, humph. Xueqian added him, put away her mobile phone, and got into one of the cars. Xiaochen got into the other car, which was the off-road vehicle that he had found the key from the skinny man. Then, he drove in the direction that Xueqian had told him. Although the desert was endless, Xiaochen didn't care because he had a clear direction. Sure enough, after driving for a day, Xiaochen saw a desert city. There were many large tents here, and in front of the tents there were small stalls. Sure enough, as Xueqian and Ling Qianxue had said, this was a market, and many people were selling things here. Behind the market, there were some plank houses built with steel plates and wood. Although some of them were very luxurious, it could be seen that this kind of house only existed in the special environment of the desert. Xiaochen parked the car in a place that looked like a parking lot. As soon as he got out of the car, an old lady martial artist ran over. Parking fee. Xiaochen was stunned. He thought that he had returned to the secular world, so he asked subconsciously, how much? 1,000 yuan. The old lady said. Xiaochen thought to himself, this is really shady. However, he could not be bothered to waste time. He took out 1,000 yuan and gave it to the old lady. Then he asked, Senior, do you know where Hero Wang Kaichao is? Oh, you're looking for him. He's behind there, in the third villa. The old lady said, pointing to a plank house. Xiaochen thanked her and walked over quickly. However, when he reached the door of the plank house, he realized that there was also parking at the door, and it seemed to be free. Young hero, please wait. As soon as Xiaochen was about to walk in, he was stopped by a man. This man was at the 4th level of the martial arts master, which shocked Xiaochen. The people in the martial arts world really couldn't be underestimated. There were really many masters. Chapter 646. I'm here to look for Hero Wang Kaichao. I have something to consult, said Xiaochen. Oh, Mr. Wang is meeting guests. Please wait a moment. I'll line up for you. The man nodded after listening, and led Xiaochen to a stone table in the yard in front of the door. Then he poured a cup of tea for Xiaochen and said, please enjoy. Then he entered the house. A 4th-level martial artist was actually playing the role of a waiter? It seemed that this Wang Kaichao was really a character. He really knew how to do business. Letting a 4th-level martial artist serve could satisfy the self-esteem of these guests. At the same time, it could intimidate the thieves. Xiaochen slowly poured and drank by himself. After waiting for about half an hour, the 4th-level martial artist from before came out again. He said to Xiaochen, Young hero, please follow me. Xiaochen was slightly stunned. He didn't see anyone come out just now. How could it be okay? However, Xiaochen didn't ask much. He followed the 4th-level martial artist into the house. He saw a man in his 40s, sitting on the sofa in the middle of the living room. He was tall and straight, with thick eyebrows and big eyes. He could be considered a handsome person. However, there was a scar on his face, which affected his heroic aura. He looked a bit like a bandit. Please take a seat. I wonder why young hero is looking for me? As Wang Kaichao spoke, his aura was also revealed. He was actually a 6th-level martial artist. This shocked Xiaochen. No wonder this person could occupy a place in the Hakanamata desert. His strength wasn't weak. However, this wasn't important. Xiaochen wasn't here to fight. He just sat calmly opposite Wang Kaichao. Wang Kaichao nodded in his heart. It seemed that this person wasn't an ordinary person. Under such an imposing aura, he was still able to maintain his calmness. This made Wang Kaichao look at him in a different light. Hero Wang, I want to inquire about something. I hope Hero Wang can give me some pointers. Xiao Chen said. I wonder if Hero Wang's consultation fee. Haha. Little brother, is this your first time here? Wang Kaichao laughed. Yes. Xiao Chen was startled, then nodded and said, This is my first time here. If you want to ask me, Wang Kaichao, for information, you can pay me with money. You can also give me worldly treasures. As for the specifics, it will depend on the value of the information you want to know. Wang Kaichao said with a smile. All right, no problem. Xiao Chen breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. As long as he could get the money, it was fine. So he said, The matter I want to inquire about is related to the heavenly flame of the fiery mountain. 100,000, Wang Kaichao said. Ah. When Xiao Chen heard the price, he was completely stunned. He didn't expect it to be so cheap. One piece of information for 100,000. Looking at Xiao Chen's expression, Wang Kaichao thought that he thought it was too expensive, so he explained with a smile. My information starts at 100,000, and the heavenly mystical flame isn't a secret. You can ask others and you'll also know. But if you ask me, it starts at 100,000. This rule can't be broken. No, I haven't finished what I want to say. When Xiao Chen heard this, he couldn't help but smile and said, I want to inquire about it. 2 years ago, there was a trial team that went to the ancient ruins of the fiery mountain. I heard that it was a mission issued by the Secular World Martial Artists Guild. The content of the mission was related to the heavenly mystical flame. Trial team? And then? Wang Kaichao asked after listening. Xiao Chen's words were too general. He couldn't tell what was going on at the moment. This trial team disappeared. I only know that the leader was called Xiaofeng, and his teammate was called Cheng Zhongqian, Xiao Chen said. Trial team. Xiaofeng. Cheng Zhongqian. Heavenly mystical flame. Let me think. As he said this, Wang Kaichao fell into deep thought. Xiao Chen didn't disturb Wang Kaichao. Instead, he quietly waited for Wang Kaichao to think. After a while, Wang Kaichao seemed to have thought of something and said, I don't remember the name of the person you mentioned. However, I vaguely remember that there was a small team from the secular world that went missing near the ancient ruins of the Blazing Mountain. After that, the Warrior Guild headquarters from the secular world came to investigate. Because most of the people who come here for the trial are martial artists, there aren't many from the secular world. So I have some impression of it. Oh, then do you remember where this team disappeared, and why they disappeared? Xiao Chen asked. I don't know about this. Because when the Martial Artists Guild headquarters came to investigate, they didn't find anything. And because it was a matter of the secular world, it didn't have much to do with me, so I didn't bother to ask about it. Wang Kaichao shook his head and said, Now things have changed. It's been so long, it's hard to find anything. But one thing is certain, they disappeared near the fiery mountain. If that's the case, then thank you very much. Although Xiao Chen was a little disappointed, he had also guessed this result. If someone really wanted to deal with his father, then they definitely wouldn't leave any clues or blackmail for people to find. Most likely, it was the people behind Cheng Zhongfan who did it. What he didn't know now was whether they hired someone to do it, or if they did it themselves. And whether his father was still alive, Cheng Zhongfan didn't know either. But the people who knew were all dead, and with Xiao Chen's current strength, it was not enough to take revenge on the people behind Cheng Zhongfan. There's no need. I didn't help you, so there's no need to thank me. Wang Kaichao waved his hand. I'm also a businessman. Even if I didn't help, I won't charge you. No, why don't you tell me about the fiery mountain and the heavenly flame? Xiao Chen smiled. 100,000, right? I'll transfer the money to you now. Haha, that's fine. Wang Kaichao smiled and said, Flame Mountain is the name of an ancient sect. These ancient sects have already disappeared with the passage of time, but it is obvious that they were preparing to leave. Therefore, there are not many heavenly treasures left in the Flame Mountain that can be found, aside from the rich spiritual chi of heaven and earth, which can regularly grow some medicinal herbs. The most famous thing is that there is a kind of true quenching flame beneath the Flame Mountain. which is also a kind of heavenly flame called the 9 underworld flame. It is said that by bathing in the hot spring water above this heavenly flame, it can refine the body, allowing ordinary people who can't cultivate to embark on the path of a martial artist. It can also increase the aptitude of a martial artist or a devil cultivator. Therefore, many cultivators will go there to take a bath. But because the fiery mountain's ancient ruins is a large array formation, after entering, the route is randomly arranged. Every time you go there, it will be different, so there is no map. After entering, whether or not you can find the hot spring depends on your luck. Some people wander around for a month and still can't stand the heat, but still may not be able to find the hot spring. Regretfully, they can only be sent out. Wang Kaichao said, and those who find the hot spring won't be able to soak for long before they are driven out. Oh, what's the reason for this? Could it be that the hot spring will automatically drive people out? Xiao Chen asked with a strange expression. That's not the case, because the size of the hot spring is limited, even if the fiery mountain is an illusion array, because there are too many cultivators, there will still be many people who will find the hot spring. Therefore, only those with great strength can soak in the hot spring for a long time. Others will be replaced not long after entering. Wang Kaichao said, there's such a thing. Then what if one's strength is very weak, and after entering, they find that there is no position? Then what? Wouldn't that be a wasted trip? Xiao Chen asked. If that's the case, then you can wait on the side, Wang Kaichao said with a smile. Every person enters the fiery mountain for 1 month. After 1 month, they will be automatically sent out by the illusion array. Of course, you can come back again, but the route will be completely different. Whether or not you will be lucky enough to find the hot spring the second time is hard to say. Therefore, as long as you don't have to be sent out in a few days, you can patiently wait on the side, and there is a possibility of finding a position. Like this, no matter how strong you are, you can't always occupy the hot spring. I understand now. After listening, Xiao Chen couldn't help but nod and said, since that's the case, is there any convenient way to reach the hot spring? That's it. When I was young, I also went there several times, but there were times when I couldn't find it. Wang Kaichao said with a smile, there is a ready-made map here. You can find the ancient ruins of the fiery mountain. As for after entering, you can only leave it to fate. Thank you very much. I'll pay you the consultation fee. Xiao Chen nodded. He had asked everything he needed to ask. Well, my card number is. Wang Kaichao said a set of numbers. Xiao Chen picked up his phone and transferred 200,000 yuan to Wang Kaichao. Then he said, the remaining 100,000 yuan can be considered as a deposit. I also asked Mr. Wang to help me inquire about the trial team. That's not a problem. Wang Kaichao also saw Xiao Chen's sincerity. He also relied on this to make a living, so he didn't decline. Leave me your contact number. If I have any news, I'll inform you immediately. Okay, Xiao Chen said, and told Wang Kaichao his way contact number. Then he said goodbye and left. To be honest, he didn't have any hope of finding his father in the fiery mountain. After all, Wang Kaichao said that it had been too long. There were people coming and going there. Even if there were any clues, they would have been wiped clean. Xiao Chen's trip this time around was nothing more than a thought in his heart. Furthermore, he wanted to see if he could subdue the heavenly flame. If he could, it would be extremely good. Not only would his battle prowess increase, he would also be able to refine pills. The underworld flame. This name was incomparably powerful. Perhaps it was even more powerful than the Samadhi true flame. Now that he was here, if he let it go, Xiao Chen wouldn't be willing. Chapter 647. 9 Underworld Flame. Legend has it that it came from the 8th layer of the 9 underworld hell. It is unknown how it ended up in the human world, but it is a true heavenly flame. Elder Heaven Ancestor's voice sounded. But if you want to subdue it, with your current strength, it will not be easy. Then I still have to try. Xiao Chen also knew this point. But I am now at the foundation establishment stage. If I still can't do it, then I can only give up. After refueling the car at the marketplace, Xiao Chen followed the directions on the map and drove towards the Flame Mountain's ancient ruins. The ancient ruins of Flame Mountain was actually very easy to find. There were many cultivators who came here. Previously, there were not many people on the road, but after walking for a while, the road was filled with people. However, these people were either driving or walking. They were in a hurry, but there was no dispute. Obviously, they all had a tacit understanding. They all came for the hot springs of Flame Mountain. So if they fought over some trivial matters and delayed their time, it would not be worth it. So Xiao Chun naturally felt that it was good. After all, he didn't want to cause any trouble. As the car approached, Xiao Chun discovered that this place was similar to the Paoli clan's cultivation city. It was surrounded by a high wall, making it impossible to directly enter. Under the guidance of the road sign, Xiao Chun parked his car in the parking lot. He also paid the parking fee of 5,000 yuan. Of course, this also had its advantages. That was, there were martial arts people to help you look after the car, so it would not be stolen. Xiao Chun didn't take his backpack, but directly placed it in the car. Because he wanted to enter the hot springs, he was afraid that it would become a burden. In any case, the security here was very strict. There were several martial artists in charge of public security in the parking lot. After getting out of the car, Xiao Chun turned his head and arrived at the entrance of the ancient ruins of Flame Mountain. Not far away, he saw a super big sign with the words, Ancient Ruins of Flame Mountain Hot Springs Resort written on it. Next to it, there was a sentry box with the words Ticket Office written on it. If it weren't for Xiao Chun being sure that the weakest person in the vicinity was a martial artist, he would have thought that he had arrived at a scenic spot in the secular world. Because this scene was too similar, the front was filled with people queuing up to buy tickets. Xiao Chun looked at the long line in front of him. He found a spot at the back and moved forward step by step. After queuing for more than an hour, it was finally his turn. Looking at the ticket price, he was speechless. It actually cost 5 million. Although this price wasn't as high as the Spirit Stone quest, it wasn't something that ordinary cultivators could afford. Even though there were so many people, it wasn't something that a cultivator could easily afford. Today's ticket sale is over. Come back tomorrow. Just as Xiao Chun took out his bank card and was about to make the purchase, he heard a cold voice coming from the ticket booth. It's over? Xiao Chun was stunned. That's right, the quota is limited every day. In order to ensure the tourist experience of the scenic area, we have to control the number of people entering the ancient ruins. The number of people being sent out every day is fixed, and the number of people entering is also fixed. The person selling the tickets said, If you want to come, please come early tomorrow. Then how many people? Chen King every day he's world how many people? 150. The person selling the tickets replied. Okay, thank you. Xiao Chun turned around and was about to leave, but he found that there was no one queuing behind him. He realized that he was probably the only newcomer who didn't know about this rule. Other people wouldn't continue to queue when they saw that there were 150 people queuing in front of them. Only Xiao Chun was still foolishly queuing for a long time. At the thought of this, Xiao Chun turned his head and asked, Can I line up here now? No, it's about to be cleared. In a while, the people who went in a month ago will be teleported here. If you are not afraid of being crushed to death by the people who suddenly come out, just stay here, the ticket seller warned. This okay. Xiao Chun wasn't afraid of being crushed to death, but it would be weird if he wasn't crushed to death, so he followed the rules. What time can I queue tomorrow morning? After 4 o'clock, everyone will gather at the periphery. Whoever is faster will be in front. The ticket seller explained. Xiao Chun didn't ask anymore. The rules were set by others, so he could only leave first. With nothing to do, Xiao Chun planned to walk around nearby. If possible, he would find more people to inquire about some information. Previously, his thinking was too simple. He thought that it would be fine as long as he came, so he didn't ask Wang Kaichao. But now it seemed that he needed to understand more. Except for the people who queued before and the staff who maintained order, Xiao Chun didn't see anyone else nearby. This made him a little puzzled. Where were the people he saw on the road just now? Xiao Chun didn't pay attention to them before. He thought that they would come here to queue up. so he parked his car and rushed over. But now, it seemed that they knew the rules here and didn't queue up here. Without a choice, Xiaochen could only find a nearby staff and ask, "This is my first time here. May I ask, where does everyone spend the night? Or, where are the other cultivators?" "Oh, in the nearby Fiery Flame City. Walk that way for a few kilometers." The staff pointed to a place not far away and said. Only then did Xiaochen come to a realization. A distance of a few kilometers was nothing to martial cultivators, or demonic cultivators. They could reach their destination very quickly. However, the vicinity of the Flame Mountain was within an illusion formation. The surroundings were covered in mist, and they could not see clearly into the distance. "Thank you." Xiaochen thanked him, and turned to walk towards Fiery Flame City. After walking for about 2 kilometers, Xiaochen suddenly stopped. His divine sense had already sensed that there were people in front of him. Moreover, there was a trace of killing intent. There should be some people arguing. Xiaochen frowned and swept his divine sense in that direction. Immediately, Xiaochen found 2 martial masters at the 4th level. The 2 of them were at loggerheads, and it seemed like they hadn't started fighting yet. 4th level? Xiaochen thought for a moment, and continued walking forward. With his current strength, even if he couldn't kill both of them at once, he could still escape. Furthermore, the 2 of them were enemies. Xiaochen wasn't afraid that the 2 of them would join forces to deal with him. As he walked closer, Xiaochen discovered that the 2 cultivators were a man and a woman. They seemed to be arguing about something. Thus Xiaochen stood where he was and watched. He wanted to see when the 2 of them would start fighting. He shamelessly thought that if the 2 of them ended up injured, could he take advantage of them? Judging from their attire, both of them seemed to be martial artists. But very soon, Xiaochen realized that something was off, because he seemed to know that female cultivator. Damn it, isn't this Ling Er, the disciple of Granny Nanshan? When Xiaochen saw the female cultivator, he was instantly enraged. Damn it, you said you were going to give me some spiritual jades. But now you haven't even shown up. I thought you were in trouble, and couldn't get away. I didn't expect you to be fighting with someone here. However, he didn't know how Ling Er's strength had increased so much. The last time he saw her, she was only a martial master at the 3rd level. Now she was already at the 4th level. Xiaochen subconsciously teamed up with the male cultivator opposite him. He planned to watch Ling Er make a fool of herself. Of course, even so, he couldn't help the male cultivator. What did this have to do with him? And Luochen, you're so vicious. You approached me just to steal my map. Ling Er glared at the man in front of her angrily. No wonder you kept asking me to take off my clothes when we were in the hot spring. You were unhappy when I refused. After we were out of the hot spring, you even helped me dry my clothes. I saw you flipping my clothes around, so I thought you wanted to dry them more carefully. It turns out that you wanted to search my clothes. Humph, who knew you were so cautious and didn't put it on your body? The man named in Luochen snorted coldly. So what if you found out? Today, you have to hand it over whether you want to or not. Do you think I and Luochen will like you because of your looks? I approached you and pursued you for a reason. You can only blame yourself for being so stupid. Xiaochen looked over. This man named in Luochen was really handsome. It would be a waste of his talent if he wasn't a celebrity. There was actually such a pretty boy in the martial arts world. He looked at Ling Er again. She didn't look good wearing a human skin mask, but did in Luochen not see through it? Or could it be that even if he took off the mask, he would still look ugly? Was it because he looked too ugly that he wore the mask? My Ling Er must have been blind to think that you were treating me well, and wanted to become cultivation partners with me. In the end, you're so scheming. Ling Er was so angry that her chest was heaving. However, and Luochen clearly wasn't interested. It's useless to talk about this. Tell me where the map is hidden, and I'll give you the antidote. Otherwise, don't blame me if the poison takes effect and you die. And Luochen said calmly. There was no sympathy on his face at all. I've been talking to you for so long. You should be content. You're an ugly woman. Why would I like you? You're an idiot. I didn't even touch you, and you thought I liked you. You're delusional. You. Ling Er was obviously devastated by Luochen's words. You're really a beast. Today, I finally understand why my master told me that people are evil. When I met you, I thought that you were treating me well. I even lent you the spiritual jades that I promised to deliver to my benefactor. You said that you needed them and would return them to me after a month. I believed you, but how did you treat me? Oh my God. And Luochin, you little bastard. You cheated me of my spiritual jades. Damn you. I wanted to help you before, but now I can't help you anymore. However, Xiaochen also felt that this Ling heir was really a little stupid. And Luochin was obviously a pretty boy with bad intentions, but she actually believed him and gave her spiritual jades to him. No wonder he didn't get the spiritual jades. It turned out that Ling heir acted on her own. Chapter 648. What's the point of saying all this? And Luochin's expression was very calm. Give me the map to the teleportation portal. I know you must have it. The map is a martial arts secret. Only a few participating sects have it. I can't give it to you, even if I die. Linger gritted her teeth and said coldly, if I die here today, my master, Grandma Nanshan, will definitely avenge me. She has to know that you are here. Furthermore, the people of the Fire Wolfen family are not afraid of your master. And Luochin said disdainfully, I know. You are from the Fire Wolfen family. Linger was shocked. No wonder I felt that your strength was very strange. You don't seem like a martial cultivator, or a demonic cultivator. Of course. The time for the Fire Wolfen family to rise again is here. If you know what's good for you, hand over the map, and I will give you the antidote. You can also join the Fire Wolfen family. Seeing that you are infatuated with me, I can arrange for you to be a small leader. However, you can forget about being my woman. And Luochin said fearlessly. Tui, don't even think about it. Linger said angrily. I have been tricked by you. Only a ghost would be infatuated with you. Don't even think about it. I will not give it to you even if I die. When Xiaochen heard Linger's childish words, he was really disappointed. If I were you, I would fight him to the death. We are both fourth-stage martial masters. Why should I be afraid of him? At most, we will perish together. Even if we can't beat him, we can still cripple him. When the poison takes effect, there will be no turning back. Very well. Then let's wait for the poison to take effect. Let me see how long you can last. Let me tell you, this is the latest poison developed by the Fire Wolfen family. In a while, you will feel so good that you will tear off your flesh piece by piece. And Luochin finally threatened impatiently. I am not afraid. Linger stiffened her neck. Xiaochen did not know what to say. All right, since you are so stupid, I will help you one more time. He had originally thought that Granny Nanshan and Ling were deliberately not giving him the spirit jades, but it seemed like that wasn't the case. Granny Nanshan must have asked Linger to deliver the spirit jades to him. However, she met in Luochin on the way, and was deceived by his sweet words. Ling must have never come into contact with any male cultivators when she was cultivating in the sect. She must have thought that she had found her true love, so she gave the spirit jade to Luochin. It seemed like Luochin still wanted the map of the teleportation portal. Xiaochen was getting a little impatient, so he walked over to him. Who? Luochin was slightly taken aback when he saw someone walking over. However, he quickly said, Friend, don't be a busybody. This is a dispute between me and my cultivation partner. Generally speaking, when other cultivators heard that it was an internal dispute between Dao companions, they wouldn't meddle in other people's business. However, Xiaochen scolded. Who are you trying to fool? Your girlfriend? Get lost, this is my girlfriend. Ha! And Luochin stared at Xiaochen in bewilderment. Where did this person come from? Did he mean that he was in cahoots with Linger? Linger, long time no see. Why are you looking for a man behind my back? Xiaochen didn't want to kill Luochin directly. After all, the Fire Wolfen family seemed to be quite powerful. Xiaochen had enough troubles now. He didn't want to get involved in the disputes between martial arts sects and families. Moreover, Luochin was deceiving Linger. Xiaochen only wanted to get the spirit jade back. Linger was also stunned. However, when she saw Xiaochen, her face immediately turned red. It wasn't because she was looking for a man behind Xiaochen's back. It was because she had given the spirit jade that belonged to Xiao Chun to Enluochen. Of course she was embarrassed. Xiao Chun glanced at Ling and thought to himself, how can a human skin mask blush? It's quite high-end. No wonder Enluochen didn't notice it. Enluochen frowned when he saw Ling blush, and that Xiao Chun had indeed called her by her name. He believed Xiao Chun's words and said, "You bitch! How dare you accuse me of having a cultivation partner? You were lustful and fell in love with someone else. How dare you accuse me of lying to you?" Ling wasn't good at arguing. She didn't know how to explain herself after hearing what Enluochen said. That's enough. My wife's affair is my family's business. Now hand over the spirit jade that you tricked her with, and you can leave. Oh yes, and the antidote. Xiao Chun said. Who do you think you are? Enluochen's expression changed. However, he did not think much of Xiao Chun. In his opinion, he had stolen his woman. If it was any other powerful cultivator, they would have already attacked him. Why would they speak to him in such a manner? Obviously, Xiao Chun was not powerful enough and didn't dare to attack him. That was why he was negotiating with him. Are you stupid? Xiao Chun looked at Enluochen with a strange expression. Did you temporarily lose your hearing just now? I already said that I'm her boyfriend. You. Enluochen was a little annoyed. So what? Get lost. This has nothing to do with you. Do you believe that I'll skin you alive if you continue to dawdle? Slap. Xiao Chun slapped this pretty boy across the face. He hated men who tricked women the most. Xiao Chun didn't want to kill him, but that didn't mean that he couldn't teach him a lesson. You dare to hit me? Enluochen was a little incredulous. I'm from the Fire Wolfen family. Ask around in the Hakanamada Desert. Fire Wolfen family. I've never heard of them. Xiao Chun narrowed his eyes and shook his legs. He didn't seem to know this person at all. Good, very good. Enluochen gritted his teeth in anger. I say, Ling. What kind of taste do you have? I said that I've never heard of them, but he said that they're very good. Is there a needle in his head? How can he trick you with this kind of IQ? Are you sure you can do it? Xiao Chun pointed at Enluochen as he looked at Ling speechlessly. Ling lowered her head and didn't know what to do. She didn't know why she was tricked by Enluochen. Perhaps it was because she had never experienced love before. She thought that Enluochen liked her, and that she had found her true love after hearing some sweet words from him. However, now that she saw Xiao Chun teaching Enluochen a lesson, she felt very satisfied. It was as if she had vented some of her anger. However, for some reason, her heart started to beat faster. Especially when Xiao Chun said that she was his girlfriend, and that he was standing up for her. Ling felt very happy. Wahahaha, you're asking for it. Watch my Fire Wolf Divine Fist. Enluochen finally couldn't take it anymore. He hadn't made a move previously, because he was afraid that Ling would help Xiao Chun beat him up. If that happened, he wouldn't have any chance of winning. However, he was really angry now. Moreover, Ling's poison was about to take effect, so he wasn't afraid of Xiao Chun anymore. What the hell is this? Xiao Chun directly used his dark flame palm and sent the pretty boy flying. It was just a 4th stage martial master. Xiao Chun was still very relaxed and happy. Boom! Enluochen landed heavily on the ground. However, what surprised Xiao Chun was that other than being covered in dirt, this guy didn't seem to be injured. He got up from the ground and glared at Xiao Chun. You're actually also a 4th stage martial master? And a 4th stage devil master? Is that strange? Idiot. Xiao Chun looked at him. Are you retarded? My wife is already a 4th stage martial master. If I'm lower than her, how am I supposed to protect her? After hearing what Xiao Chun said, Enluochen instantly felt that his intelligence was a little low. No, how could he be low? He was a genius. He gritted his teeth and once again used the Fire Wolf Divine Fist on Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun frowned. This guy was stupid. He couldn't win, yet he still rushed forward. His intelligence was really high. Only Ling would fall for it. If it was someone else, they would have sold this guy out. Although Enluochen was a 4th stage martial master, his actual strength was only at the level of a 2nd stage martial master in Xiao Chun's eyes. His martial techniques were especially ordinary. There was nothing special about them. Xiao Chen once again used his dark flame palm on Luo Chen's head and sent him flying. A small bump fell from his body. Xiao Chen walked over and picked it up. He realized that there were 2 small bottles inside. If he guessed correctly, they should be Ling Er's antidote. He casually threw them to Ling Er. See for yourself which one is the antidote. Don't drink the wrong one and die again. Ling Er caught it and blushed. At this moment, she finally understood who was truly good to her. She felt that Xiao Chen and Luo Chen were completely different. Moreover, her feelings for Xiao Chen were completely different from Luo Chen's. Although Luo Chen could say sweet things to make her happy, it was only to make her happy. However, Xiao Chen didn't say anything, but her heart still palpitated. This feeling made her feel shy for the first time. She thought that if Xiao Chen had asked her to take off her clothes in the hot spring, she would have done so. She didn't know why, but she just couldn't resist his request. Seeing Luo Chen crawl up from the ground, and still wanting to rush over, Xiao Chen finally got angry. This is already the 3rd time. What else do you want? Xiao Chen directly threw a Samadhi True Fireball at Luo Chen. Luo Chen was stunned. His body was instantly set on fire. He couldn't help but exclaim, "What kind of martial technique is this?" "A martial technique that will kill you," Xiao Chen said calmly. "Tell me where the spiritual jade is now, and I will consider letting you go. Otherwise, you will die." "Die? Ha 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 ha, you underestimate me." Luo Chen rolled a few times on the ground. Although his clothes were burnt to a crisp, he wasn't seriously injured. His skin was charred black, but the Samadhi True Fireball didn't spread. Instead, it was extinguished. How can such a petty trick do anything to the successor of the Fire Wolf War God? Ha ha ha. If this is all I have, I won't be able to revive the family. When he saw that Luo Chen was completely fine, Xiao Chen was extremely shocked. Chapter 649. The True Samadhi Fire was a technique that he had never used before. Luo Chen was only a stage 4 martial master, and his attack power was only at the stage 2 level. How could he not be afraid of the true Samadhi Fire? Who would believe him if he told others about this? Xiao Chen suddenly thought of a strange phenomenon. Luo Chen was hit by the dark flame palm, but he did not seem to be affected. Was this guy not afraid of being hit? You specialize in defense? Xiao Chen asked. Hee, you don't understand. It's much more advanced than defense. At this moment, Luo Chen looked at Xiao Chen with interest. Brat, you have some skills. How about this? You can work for me. I won't treat you badly. Puffed. Xiao Chen was worried about Luo Chen's intelligence. We are enemies now. It's one thing for you to cheat my wife's spiritual jade, but you want me to be your follower? Are you having delusions? No. You haven't experienced how powerful I am. Although I may not be that dazzling now, I will definitely unify the martial arts world in the future and dominate the world. Luo Chen said while shaking his head. Ling Er, look at your taste. Why didn't you find someone stronger than me when you cheated? This guy is clearly mentally ill. Xiao Chen looked at Ling Er speechlessly. I didn't cheat. Ling Er stammered. Forget it. I lied to her, so it's my fault. How about you work for me? Don't worry. I won't be interested in your wife. As for the spiritual jade, I've already used it, so I can't return it to you. Luo Chen said to himself. You will have a bright future if you work for me. I'll find some more spiritual jade for you. I'm not interested, Xiao Chen said. Although he was scolding Luo Chen for being mentally retarded, he had to admit that this kid had some tricks up his sleeve. He was not afraid of the Samadhi True Fire, and did not seem to be afraid of being hit. He was really a monster. So think about it. I'll give you my contact number so you can memorize it. Luo Chen told Xiao Chen about his contact number, and turned to leave. He probably knew that he wasn't Xiao Chen's opponent. Although he wasn't afraid of being beaten, he couldn't beat Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen did not chase after him, because Xiao Chen could not do anything to Luo Chen either. After Luo Chen left, Xiao Chen turned to look at Ling Er and said, What should I say about you? You must have been deceived by him, right? I'm sorry. Ling Er blushed and lowered her head. looking as if she had done something wrong. Do you think it'll be fine if I'm sorry? Xiao Chen glared at Linger. That was a spiritual jade. It wasn't easy for him to get it from the ancient ruins, but it was gone just like that. I won't dare to do it again. Linger said carefully. I won't fall for it again. I know they're lying to me. You're the only one who treats me well. I won't fall for it again. Huh? Xiao Chen was taken aback. What was going on? Why did it become him being nice to her in the end? I'll listen to you in the future. I know you're the one who treats me well, Linger said shyly. I didn't realize it before, but now I want to be Dao companions with you. What? Xiao Chen was stunned. What dual cultivation partners? Ling, or what are you trying to say? Didn't you say that I'm your wife? Linger blinked. I was lying to Enluochen, okay? Xiao Chen smiled bitterly. I have to find a reason to be a busybody, right? Ah, I see. Linger's body stiffened, but she smiled and said, Yes, it's like this. I'm sorry, I thought too much. It's nothing. Xiao Chen could tell that Linger was a little disappointed. He shook his head. Did Linger think that he liked her too? What was this little girl thinking? She was too gullible. I forget it. Linger hesitated for a moment, then shook her head and said in a self-mocking manner, I'm just too stupid. Forget it. Since you know, you should go back now. Don't hang around outside anymore. You might have been tricked by some gigolo again. Xiao Chen felt a little helpless. Linger had given all her spiritual jades to Enluochen, and this guy had used them up. It seemed like there was no hope for him. Xiao Chen didn't think that Enluochen was lying. He could tell that this guy was very arrogant. He wanted Xiao Chen to be his subordinate, so it was probably true that he had used up his spiritual jades. However, Xiao Chen didn't have much hope, so he didn't feel sad. No, I know who is really good to me, so I won't be tricked. Also, Linger looked at Xiao Chen, but didn't finish her sentence. Xiao Chen was shocked. Linger couldn't have really fallen for him, right? But he didn't do anything. Linger's love was really low. Actually, it was Xiao Chen who had misunderstood Linger. Linger had been deceived, and had made a comparison. Then she fell for Xiao Chen. I'm going to Fiery Flame City now. What about you? Xiao Chen asked. Linger lowered her head and said, I'm going back to the sect to receive my punishment from Master. Forget it. Just say that you gave me your spiritual jades. Don't say that you were tricked. Xiao Chen thought that he might as well be a good person to the end. Linger would be punished, which wouldn't do him any good. Linger was originally disappointed. However, she was happy again. You are still good to me. I know. You must think that I'm too stupid, so you don't want to be with me. Don't worry. After I go back, I will work hard to learn from Master and become smarter. Then, I will become your cultivation partner. What is this? Xiao Chen was speechless. Then I'm leaving. Thank you, Xiao Chen. Linger waved goodbye to Xiao Chen and left happily. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen quickened his pace and headed to Fiery Flame City. Fiery Flame City was near the ancient ruins of Fiery Mountain. It was a small town that had formed over thousands of years. If there was a demand, there would naturally be a supply. Many people came here in search of hot springs. Those who could not go could only live near Fiery Flame City. Here there were inns, markets, restaurants, shops. In short, there were all sorts of facilities. Xiao Chen did not drive his car here. It would cost him 5,000 to move his car. Xiao Chen should train his body. Since it was still early, Xiao Chen randomly found a shop and walked in. Young hero, what would you like to buy? A young man walked over enthusiastically and greeted Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen glanced at him. He was actually an ancient martial art practitioner. In this place, even a waiter was an ancient martial art practitioner. However, this was not strange. He reckoned that this was the territory controlled by the outer circle of the martial arts circle. The people here were probably all ancient martial art practitioners. I'm just looking around. As Xiao Chen spoke, he started to size up the shop. Many of the things sold here were cultivation resources for cultivators. There were medicinal pills, natural treasures, weapons, martial techniques, etc. It was much more complete than the cultivator markets in the secular world. It seemed like the pugilistic world was indeed different. All right, young hero, is this your first time coming to Fiery Flame City? The shop assistant casually chatted. That's right, this is my first time here. Xiaochen did not deny it. If it is your first time here, you would normally buy a secret manual to clear the ancient ruins of Fiery Mountain. The shop assistant smiled and took out a small booklet from the counter. He handed it to Xiaochen and said, "This is an introduction to the ancient ruins of Fiery Mountain. Although it will not allow you to find the hot springs immediately, it will increase your chances of success. It will help you avoid some detours." "Oh, then give me one. How much is it?" Xiaochen was somewhat astonished. There was actually such a thing. However, he needed it. 10,000, the shop assistant said. All right, swipe my card. Xiaochen could not be bothered to bargain. In short, this was a cultivator's territory. Everything was frighteningly expensive. It seemed like earning money here was a good business. Xiaochen tossed out his bank card, took the booklet and flipped through it. Sure enough, the booklet clearly stated how to line up, how many cultivators could enter each day, how long they had to stay inside, and how to fight for a cultivation spot in the hot spring. It also stated how to quickly find a hot spring, and so on. In short, this was a book of experience. In Xiaochen's opinion, the 10,000 was worth it. Young hero, do you need anything else? The shop assistant asked after receiving the bank card. I don't need anything else. Xiaochen shook his head. Other cultivation resources were of no use to him. His cultivation was a form of burning money. Small things would not have any effect. All right, the shop assistant swiped the card and let Xiaochen enter the password. He returned the card to Xiaochen and said, "Welcome back next time." Xiaochen took the booklet and left the shop. He casually found a restaurant and sat down. He ordered some dishes and slowly enjoyed them while reading the booklet. The restaurants here were open all night. Xiaochen did not plan to find an inn. He planned to eat until midnight and then queue up. The prices here were simply heaven-defying. Even if Xiaochen had money, he could not be so wasteful. Around 2 in the morning, Xiaochen paid the bill and headed towards the ancient ruins of Blazing Mountain. At this time, there were also other people heading there. It seemed like they were all going to queue up. The booklet also stated that at 4 in the morning, tickets would be sold. But at this time, it was a test of each cultivator's reaction speed. They had to quickly queue up. If they did not successfully queue up, or if the queue exceeded 150 people, then they would fail and could only come back tomorrow. Therefore, many cultivators would book an inn in Blazing Mountain. Sometimes, if one's cultivation was low and their reaction speed was slow, it would be very difficult to successfully queue up. However, it was also written in the clearance cheat manual that when queuing up, it was best not to rush forward blindly. Even if you rushed to the front, you might not be the first to reach the ticket booth, and the first person in front of the ticket booth would be the leader of the queue. Chapter 650. After that, the people in the back would stand in line. Of course, no one would let you cut in line. If you didn't get first place, it would be extremely difficult to join the line again. No one would give up their position for you. In this way, the best way was to keep an eye on a cultivator's back and follow him. If he succeeded in getting first place, then you would definitely have a chance as long as you followed him. As long as you weren't ranked 150th, you would definitely get a chance. However, this also had its drawbacks. The person in front might not be able to get first place, or the others might also keep an eye on that person. Then it would depend on whose reaction speed was faster. This method was widely spread. Basically, you would keep an eye on the first person to get first place. Then, you would be followed all the way to the 150th place. Those who weren't followed would basically be eliminated. Although this method was good, it could also fail. Therefore, Xiaochen didn't intend to use this method. He planned to get first place. Although it was difficult, it should be relatively easy for a cultivator like him. All the cultivators were standing at the edge of the square. No one could enter first. If they entered before the time limit, it would be regarded as a violation of the rules. They would be disqualified from buying tickets for 10 days. Xiao Chen arrived early, but when he arrived at the square, there was already a sea of people. Everyone surrounded the edge of the square. Fortunately, the square was big enough. As long as they didn't arrive too late, they could stand at the edge of the square. At 4 o'clock, everyone ran to the ticket booth together. Xiao Chen stood in a position and was ready to go. Of course, Xiao Chen was a newcomer. He had never appeared before, so almost no one was optimistic about him. There shouldn't be anyone following behind him. Many cultivators had already fought for experience. They knew who was more likely to get into the top 150, so they casually stared at those people behind them. However, it didn't mean that this person could get into the top 150, so they could sit back and relax. If you stared at him, others might also stare at him. At that time, it would be hard to tell who would be the winner. Xiao Chen was aiming for first place. He didn't have time to study who could get into the top 150. This wasn't something that could be studied in a day or two. He didn't have that kind of time. New Year's Day had passed, and the Spring Festival was just around the corner. He wanted to go back to the Xiao family during the Spring Festival and spend the Spring Festival with the Xiao family. At 3:50 p.m., the lights at the ticket booth were turned on, and a few staff members came out one after another to maintain order. One of them was holding a small flag in his hand. It seemed like he was going to command the crowd later. At 4 o'clock sharp, the staff member waved the small flag in his hand, and then everyone rushed forward. Xiao Chen also quickly ran to the ticket booth. He was a cultivator, so he had the advantage of speed. However, besides him, there were also speed-type martial artists. Although Xiao Chen was already very fast, Xiao Chen still saw a person running neck and neck with him. This person was a level 1 martial artist. Although his strength wasn't very high, he ran very fast. He should have cultivated speed-type martial arts. When this person saw that Xiao Chen was running as fast as him, he was very surprised. Every time he went to buy tickets, he was always the first. Although he was weak, because of this he got to know two powerful friends. Because every time he bought tickets, he allowed these two friends to stand beside him and then run with him, becoming the second and third place. This way, with the help of these two friends, when he found the hot spring, as long as one of these two friends was there, they could also take care of him, so that he could smoothly cultivate in the hot spring without being chased away. Of course, at this time, he didn't have time to ask Xiao Chen why he was also running so fast. He just gritted his teeth and sped up, wanting to overtake Xiao Chen. However, Xiao Chen was always running side by side with him. It wasn't easy to overtake him. The dark horse Xiao Chen surprised many people. At least, there was a smart guy who temporarily changed his target and stared at Xiao Chen. In his opinion, instead of betting on others, it was better to bet on Xiao Chen. In fact, the distance wasn't very far. For many people, the difference was only 1 or 2 steps. Xiao Chen and the level 1 martial artist ran at the front. Seeing that they were about to reach the ticket booth, the level 1 martial artist changed direction. He didn't run to the ticket booth, but turned in another direction. Behind him were 2 high-level martial artists. These 2 people didn't look at anything else. They only stared at the level 1 martial artist. When he changed direction, the 2 people also changed direction one after the other. Behind this high-level martial artist, there were other people following him. In the end, when one person made a mistake, the group of people behind him also made a mistake. On the other hand, Xiao Chen was the first to stand in front of the ticket booth. He looked indifferently at the first layer martial master. Although he had played a trick, this was how it was in the martial arts world. Mutual deception reigned supreme, and a cultivator's skills were also a type of strength. However, the person following Xiao Chen was overjoyed. He realized that he had made the right bet. The person behind this person was also overjoyed. His luck was really good. This person's speed was average, so it was difficult for him to enter the top 150. However, the others couldn't keep up with him, so they could only follow behind him. As a result, one after another, those who originally had no hope and only had the mentality of trying their luck all succeeded in entering the top 150 this time. As for those who were originally full of confidence, they all failed one by one. Following one wrong person would result in all the wrong steps. The level 1 martial artist ran a few steps before he suddenly came to his senses. He realized that something was wrong. Just now, his mind seemed to be blank. He just had a thought and ran in this direction uncontrollably. When he turned his head, he saw that the situation had already been decided. He was instantly dumbfounded. He came out of the hot spring and rested in the inn for a few days. He was preparing to rush to first place today. Who would have thought that he would be careless and let someone else take first place? However, at this moment he couldn't get angry. He could only look at Xiao Chun with hatred. The two high-level martial artists behind him were also very angry. What was going on? Where did this kid come from? How did he get first place? However, since the situation had already been decided, he could only think about it tomorrow. If he dared to cause trouble here, he would definitely be disqualified for a month. I'm sorry, I don't know what happened to me just now. It seems like I was too focused on my opponent and ran astray. The level 1 martial artist said to the two high-level martial artists behind him with some regret. Forget it, we'll talk about it tomorrow. The two of them also knew that people would always make mistakes. At most, they would come back tomorrow. It was just that today was a little suffocating. One of the high-level martial artists looked at Xiao Chun with a sinister look and remembered this person's appearance. The three of them left dejectedly. The people behind them who had planned to follow them a few days ago also left. There was no other way. They would come back tomorrow. Fortunately, there was still hope. The ticket sales started. Xiao Chun took out his bank card and was about to swipe it. However, what made Xiao Chun puzzled was that the person selling the tickets was also puzzled. The first place is free of charge. Free of charge? Xiao Chun was stunned. This was probably written in the secret manual. However, Xiao Chun didn't read it in detail and skipped it. Oh, it's you. Number 151 from yesterday. Are you new? The person selling the tickets recognized Xiao Chun. You are quite fast. Take the ticket and prepare to enter. As he said this, the person selling the tickets gave Xiao Chun a sign. On it was written, Flame Mountain Ancient Ruins Number 1. Xiao Chun took the sign. Under the guidance of another staff member, he arrived in front of a teleportation array at the side. He went to one of the positions. This teleportation array could teleport 6 people at a time. Therefore, he had to wait for the people behind him to arrive together before he could activate it. Soon, the 6 people stood in front of the teleportation array. The staff member at the side activated the teleportation array. Xiao Chun blinked his eyes and entered the desert. It was exactly the same as the previous teleportation. There was no one else beside him. This teleportation array also teleported people randomly. At least within his visibility, he didn't see anyone else. Previously, Xiao Chun had carefully read the secret manual. It was about how to find hot springs in the desert. Therefore, he had overlooked some small details. The first place had the preferential treatment of free of charge. No wonder that first-level martial artist had so many people following him. It seemed like he had been here for free of charge all year round. Everyone knew him. Of course, Xiao Chun could also continue to get free of charge. However, he didn't have that much time to stay here. Xiao Chun first took out the compass and determined his direction. Because this was an illusion array, the surroundings were misty. The visibility was particularly low. He couldn't see anything more than a few dozen meters away. However, this didn't matter. According to the secret manual, the hottest place was where the hot springs were. Therefore, as long as he found the hottest direction and kept walking, he would be able to reach the hot springs. However, it was easier said than done. The temperature increased step by step. If he didn't continue walking for a long time, it would be difficult to tell whether it was getting hotter or colder. Furthermore, if he were to go in the wrong direction, with the current visibility, the slightest deviation could mean thousands of miles. It was very likely that he would miss the hot spring just by changing his angle. However, this was nothing to Xiao Chun. The 6 senses of a cultivator were very powerful. He only needed to use the spot where he first landed as the center of the circle. He circled around the area and found the hottest spot. Then he formed a straight line through the center of the circle and this spot. He quickly moved along the straight line. This method was difficult for non-cultivators to distinguish the slight difference in temperature, even if they walked in a circle. It didn't take long for Xiao Chun to arrive in front of a huge building that looked like a swimming pool. He found that there were many cultivators gathered around the swimming pool. There were at least 10 of them, and most of them were martial artists. Sure enough, Xiao Chun found this place without much effort. He wasn't in a hurry. He didn't understand why these cultivators didn't enter the hot springs to cultivate. Therefore, he walked over and stood to the side to watch. Chapter 651. It turned out that in the hot spring, there were dozens of marked cultivation spots, and all of them were occupied by cultivators. There were no empty spots at all. No wonder these people were all standing here waiting. Is everyone queuing up? Xiao Chun looked for a martial master cultivator who was closest to him and asked. Queuing? Of course. That cultivator looked at Xiao Chun strangely. He was a devil master at the peak of the first layer. Didn't you say that we could fight for spots? Xiao Chun looked at the crowd strangely. We are the weakest here. Don't you see that everyone here is a peak level 1 martial master? The cultivator smiled bitterly and said, Since we are here, we can only wait. Even if it is a first layer martial master in the pool, I might not be able to completely suppress him. If we were to fight, I might not be able to gain an advantage, so we can only line up. So that's how it is. Xiao Chun nodded. He wasn't an overbearing person. But if he continued to queue like this, how long would it take? Should he fight for one spot or not? While he was hesitating, Xiao Chun heard a voice. Ha ha ha, I'm lucky this time. It only took me 10 days to find the hot spring. The voice belonged to a peak level 3 martial master. He walked over quickly and said in a pleasantly surprised tone, Looks like I can cultivate in peace for 20 days. He did not hide his strength at all. Hence, when he passed by those first layer or peak first layer martial masters, these people could not help but make way for him. As for Xiao Chun, he was some distance away, so he was not affected. The moment he appeared, the expressions of all the low-level cultivators in the hot spring changed. This person showed his strength the moment he arrived. It was obvious that he wanted to find someone to replace him. Of course, the high-level martial masters didn't care. They were all calm and composed. Hee, who's going to make way for me? The peak level 3 martial master chuckled and looked at the low-level cultivators in the hot spring. The cultivators below the third martial master all lowered their heads. None of them wanted to be replaced. After all, it wasn't easy to get a spot. The peak third layer cultivator suddenly extended his hand and pointed at a peak first layer cultivator in the center of the pond. Me. The pinnacle cultivator was in disbelief. He was already very close to the center, and his head was very low. So how did he discover him? Moreover, he was at the peak of the first layer. Shouldn't he target the weakest layer? That's right, hurry up and come out. The peak level 3 cultivator shouted impatiently. Although he was unwilling, the peak first layer cultivator still stood up from the hot spring. He had no choice. Who asked him to be so unlucky? The peak of the third layer cultivator was very pleased with himself and prepared to cultivate. As for the peak of the first layer cultivator, he stood behind Xiao Chun. According to the rules, those who were replaced had to line up at the back. Who asked him to have so many days left? He couldn't afford to waste it, right? At this moment, Xiao Chun guessed what the peak level 3 martial master was thinking. This guy chose a spot that wasn't the innermost, but was also quite remote. His purpose was probably very simple. He was afraid that a higher level cultivator would come and replace him. Although the possibility was small, even a higher level cultivator would pick the weaker first layer cultivators. They wouldn't take the initiative to deal with a peak level 3 martial master unless there was no one weaker than him. Earlier, Xiao Chun had been hesitating on whether or not to snatch someone else's spot. Now, however, he no longer felt any pressure. Xiao Chun pointed at the cultivator, who had just arrived at the peak of level 3 and sneered. You. Come out, I've taken a fancy to your spot. What? The peak level 3 martial master thought he heard wrong. He looked at Xiao Chun in disbelief. Was he talking to him? Yes, come out quickly. Xiao Chun imitated his tone and said impatiently. Haha. The peak level 3 martial master suddenly laughed. He looked at Xiao Chun as if he was looking at a big joke. Brat, are you talking to me? You're new, right? Don't you know the rules? I'll just treat it as a joke. I'm in a hurry to cultivate, so I don't have time to deal with you. Don't test my patience. Do you want to fight? Xiao Chun didn't waste words and directly said. The peak level 3 martial master saw that Xiao Chun was so arrogant and didn't seem to be joking. His face immediately became gloomy. He coldly stared at Xiao Chun and said, Brat, if you kneel down and admit your mistake, I won't kill you. The number of martial masters that died in my hands can be counted on one hand. What you said is exactly what I wanted to say, Xiao Chun said. Ah, that's good. The peak level 3 martial master flew up and directly landed on the edge of the hot spring. He revealed all of his strength and clawed at Xiao Chun's head. Fierce eagle claw. Although Xiao Chun was a true cultivator, his only weakness was that he couldn't reveal his strength. If he didn't make a move, others wouldn't be able to see his strength. Even if he revealed all of his true cultivator strength, he would only be able to show the strength of a peak level 2 devil master. Xiao Chun couldn't be bothered to get entangled with this person. With a dark flame palm, he directly swatted the peak level 3 martial master away like a fly. He didn't hold back either, so this peak level 3 martial master was unlucky. He let out a blood-curdling scream and spat out a mouthful of blood in the air. Then he fell heavily on the ground 10 meters away. He struggled a few times but couldn't get up. It was obvious that he had suffered a serious internal injury. At this time, the way everyone looked at Xiao Chun was different. Although he looked like he only had the strength of a peak level 2 devil master, the martial skills he displayed were enough to match a peak level 3 martial master. In fact, they even faintly surpassed it. Fourth layer. The peak level 3 martial master struggled a few times and spat out 2 words with difficulty. Excuse me. Xiao Chun indifferently walked towards the hot spring. He didn't even bother to look at the peak level 3 martial master. The martial master who had spoken to Xiao Chun before had a lingering fear in his heart. Why wasn't his attitude just now better? This guy wouldn't hold a grudge against him, right? The crowd unconsciously opened up a path for Xiao Chun. Xiao Chun smoothly walked to the edge of the hot spring. However, he subconsciously wanted to enter the hot spring, but he hesitated for a moment. He turned his head and looked at the nearest martial master and asked, Is the water in this hot spring very deep? I see that everyone is flying over instead of walking over. Why is that? The martial master was startled. Although he was puzzled by Xiao Chun's question, he still explained truthfully. That's right. The water in this hot spring is so deep that you can't see the bottom. If you go in, you basically won't be able to come out. Therefore, everyone directly flew over to the cultivation spots. The cultivation spots are stone platforms that have existed since ancient times. There is no problem at all. Xiao Chun nodded. So that's how it was. Just now, he was puzzled as to why these people didn't cultivate in the gaps between the cultivation spots. Instead, they just had to wait for people to give up their cultivation spots. It turned out that there were no other places to cultivate. Thinking of this, Xiao Chun directly flew over to the empty cultivation spot and sat down cross-legged. In fact, when Xiao Chun arrived at the ancient ruins of the Blazing Mountain, he already knew that his father was definitely not inside. According to the rule that he would definitely be transported out within a month, even if his father got lost here, he would definitely be transported out. As for this hot spring pool, Xiao Chun sensed it, although there was heaven and earth spiritual energy in it, and it could indeed have the effect of washing the marrows and bones of a martial artist. The effect was extremely limited. At least this was the case for Xiao Chun. He could cultivate here, and his cultivation speed would be faster than outside. However, if he wanted to achieve results, he would definitely not be able to do so without 8 to 10 years. By then it would be too late. And Xiaoma, go and find out for me where the netherworld flame that heats up this pool is. Xiao Chun was now thinking about the heavenly flame. Oh, and Xiaoma came out of the sea of spiritual awareness and directly entered the hot spring. No one discovered him. Who would have thought that there was already an additional black shadow in the spring? With the mentality of taking things as they come, Xiao Chun temporarily cultivated in the pool. It was better to be slow than nothing. He would cultivate as much as he could. Xiao Chun still understood the principle of accumulating. Time passed by minute. This pool was probably very deep. Even if Xiaoma was a ghost talisman demon, it would not be easy for him to explore it. He would not be able to get a result in a short time. The sky darkened, and the sky brightened again. Xiao Chun was a little worried. How deep was this pool? What was down there? Would there be any problems after Xiaoma went down? However, it was useless to worry. Without knowing the situation, Xiao Chun could not rashly look for Xiaoma. Fortunately, the trace of spiritual awareness connection between him and Xiaoma still existed, indicating that Xiaoma should not have been destroyed yet. Another 2 days passed, and Xiaoma still had not returned. Xiao Chun could only wait while cultivating. In the past few days, a few cultivators had been teleported out of this place because their time was up. The peak third-layer cultivator who had been sent flying by Xiao Chun did not come to line up again. It was obvious that his injuries were not light. Xiao Chun did not know where he had gone to recuperate. With his current condition, he would definitely not be able to compete with others for a spot. Even a first-layer martial master might be able to suppress him. Every day, newcomers came to the periphery of the hot spring. The rules were the same as before. Some low-level martial masters were directly squeezed out. However, there was a third-layer martial master who relied on his strength to make Xiao Chun give up his spot. As the number of high-level martial masters increased these days, the weakest in this pool was only a second-layer martial master. On the surface, Xiao Chun looked like a peak second-layer fiend master. Therefore, he was treated as a pushover by the third-layer martial master. However, just as he spoke, he was stopped by a familiar cultivator who explained to him. This person was shocked and looked at Xiao Chun with a hint of evasion. He quickly cupped his fists and said, "I'm sorry, it turns out to be a senior from the 4th layer. I have offended you just now." You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.